like that, we're back with another Unpacked presented to you by the To Be Fair Show and
the G Shit Podcast.
It doesn't matter how you feel.
No.
Hey, my bad, fat boy. We a little late, but it's not as bad as we usually be honest. But nonetheless, this is Unpacked, and we have another good one, another great one for y'all. I feel like we're cleaning out the debris from the fallout from the election, and now there's a bunch of questions and commentary, and some might say like salacious statements that are kind of reverberating across America and the media landscape, in which I think the Dems, they ran on the concept that Trump was going to be the end of America and democracy as we know it. Whether we agree or disagree with this in general, I think it's a good topic to explore. So today we're going to explore the concept of, could America actually fall? But before we get into that, again, I am your favorite fence-sitting moderator. Q, I allow this amazing panel to introduce themselves, starting at the top. G.
What's good, everybody? It's G, host of the G Shit Podcast, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and fuck everything else. Check that out, whatever you get your podcast at GSHPOD.
Trey.
What's good? FBA Trey again, to intellectually spar with the homies. My role here is to try to be a guest and to advocate for a positive voice for the FBA lineage. Peace, power, lineage-based reparations to the family, and hit the likes and engage in the comments. We're going to be reading that, shouting y'all
out. Charlotte Legend, talk to him.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? A Black here. Ready for a good conversation on the Wednesday night.
Yep. Johnny, last but not least, what's going on?
What up? It's your boy Johnny P, host of the To Be Fair Show. Can catch us there every Sunday, 4:30. Definitely looking forward to another one. How often do you think about Rome? So we here.
Mm-hmm. Hey, send that in.
I put it in the chat.
Oh, you put it in? All right, cool. But nevertheless, we had a planned icebreaker, but before we get to that one, there is a couple comments in the chat that I think probably could toss to a quick one, and then we can kind of get into regularly scheduled programming. It says, let's talk about white reparations. There has been news that broke or it wasn't news, it was Trump at the press conference where he said that he will be offering up reparations for the white middle and upper class that were affected by DEI inside like the educational space, and that the endowments from these universities will be paying for it, taxed up to possibly as much as their endowment is worth. Trump is now guaranteeing the middle class and elite whites reparations. Fellas, what is your thoughts on that?
Do you ever say exactly what he said? My fault.
I was looking for it right before here. As y'all talk, I'll find it.
And so would that be affecting white colleges, white institutions, if it's coming out of their endowment?
I believe so. Yes. To my yeah. And again, I'm gonna find it. I also think that there's a piece of it where it goes to him speaking about not dealing or not promoting woke language, and I don't know, like it's a lot of like right wing talking points, like the whole transgenderism, the whole wokeism, the whole like any of those things inside the college institutions. And if you do, then they will also be taxing your endowment.
Yo,
yeah.
My bad. Go ahead. I'm gonna say I put a joint in the chat and in the private chat, but I think all this came from a Don Lemon post, If I'm being honest.
Well, no, Trump.
Okay.
I haven't seen the Don Lemon post at all. I've seen Trump talk about it. He did a couple different little like video clips that have went out where he's announcing his platform.
He did talk about going after the endowments of these universities who discriminated against folks under DEI, but this idea that he's giving white folks reparations, I think, is a talking point from the left.
Big cap, major cap. They're desperate at this point, and this is just more of them. Like we've seen so much after the Trump victory, or we've seen so much. Bro, they've been crashing out, and this is just another desperate attempt for them to make some ridiculous claim. Like Trump's not about to give white people reparations, and if he does make reparations based off DUI, and I think that sets a precedence for our reparations claim, because if you're saying that if a person, if a DEI they're discriminated against, therefore you owe them money, that don't apply to nobody more than the foundational Black American descendants of freedom. So we need a Black legal class to be able to actually weaponize that against themselves. And also, I don't care about DEI, and I also don't care about these major institutions. So it's not our problem as foundational Black American freedom.
Got you.
That's not
And
what he said.
I think I found it. Let me pull it up so we can have a accurate conversation.
Federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all.
I can keep playing. Was that good enough?
Did you play the part where you said reparations for white people? I didn't hear that.
Oh, I think that in essence, what he described was like the idea of restitutions from being done by some version of racial inequality. That would be what was referenced as reparations. I think, would that not fall under the guise of quote unquote reparation?
That's a bit of it. You don't think this falls under the guise of like a stretch?
Restitution for being done wrong based on racial discrimination, like in a form of cash payment.
Because the thing is like, you know, college is not forced on anybody. Like, you know, when we talk about these other populations who get reparations, it's usually because something was forced against their will to some degree. College is something you choose to apply for. You pay money to attend. So, like, to say that you got discriminated because you didn't get into the school you wanted to go to, now you deserve reparations. Like, reparations from what? You didn't lose any money.
Right, but I guess, doesn't that make it worse to get financial restitution for something that you're applying for that you don't have to do?
I think we have
like, to me, I think that the case you're building makes it worse.
I just don't think it's reparations for white folks. I just think the way that they're framing it makes it sound like but that sounds worse than reparations for white folks. I mean, reparations to me, like if you're something voluntarily and you're getting paid restitution for quote unquote being wrongly done, that's worse than the premise. But the wording reparations for white folks is very inflammatory. Like,
okay,
how does what he's doing affect niggas? Like,
I don't think it affects niggas outside of the idea. This would be my opinion.
Thank you, A Black. That's a great question.
Oh no, I think it is a great question. I think it impacts niggas inside the way of we've been pushing for a reparations movement for years, and again, seeing something that is given voluntary as restitution, when involuntary servitude hasn't been given proper restitution for Black people. And this isn't like specifically a thing that's been axed in comparison to where there's like movements and legislation that's been being tried to actually get proper restitution. To me, it seems like almost like the idea that it can be done, but we're not trying to do it for y'all. That's what I would take from that.
It can be done, you know. We could do it ourselves too. Kamala, Beyonce, Taylor Swift. I can do a fundraiser. They might can raise $1 billion. Who knows what they can do? But I don't think this is the same. Like, I feel like they create the narrative. Like, everything now is about to be amplified because Trump is involved. So it's like, guess what Trump did today? Guess what Trump did today? Today, it's like people reparations. It's like they just want to magnify everything and kind of create this fear and this frenzy. Like, that's one thing I'm not looking forward to this presidency is like people bitching every single day. And that's what it's about to be. Just like it was when he was president. They're gonna be hyper focused on politics again and on policy and on moves after they've been in this whole slumber. And now everybody acting like the past 3.5 years ain't been trash. Biden ain't do shit he said he was gonna do. This is a magical time. And it's almost like they're wishing bad on the country. Like, oh, he's about to get crazy. Like, he about to do this, he about to do that. Like, what the fuck he's not? Like, everything y'all doing, he's gassing. He's getting right to business. He's being decisive. He's doing what the fuck you want, because that's what the president's supposed to be doing. And making shit happen. Getting he, she, they up out of here. All this bullshit. Getting this bullshit out of here. Let's get back to getting money. But Democrats focus on bullshit. Identify as this. Intersectionality. Blah, blah, blah. Bunch of shit, cloudy shit. Get that shit out of here. Let's get back to the money. The shit that matters. Yeah, that's what he's doing. It's like he ain't wasting no time.
G?
Like, the thing about this approach is like also too, these types of schools that are going to be on the hook here are not majority Black schools. You can believe me that right now. I can tell you. Like, you're talking about the Harvards, the Ivy Leagues of the world. And he said they could be sued up to their whole endowment, which in Harvard's case is over 50 billion with a B. That's their endowment. So if he's going to take money from these private institutions and then give that money to so-called quote unquote victims who didn't get into these schools that were qualified, this to me is more like a class action sort of lawsuit where they're paying for their own, Harvard's endowment going to somebody is not my tax money going to somebody, for example. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are private institutions and they're going to have to come out their own pockets versus when you start talking about reparations, like we start talking about more institutions involved, government, et cetera, people paying taxes, like, but this is not that. This is not Trump using taxpayers' money to give white folks reparations because they got discriminated against. He's going to get the money from these endowments and then paying it back out. So I just don't see it as the same. And in the rhetoric, it's funny, but it's like, damn, this intentional fear mongering type shit is going to cause us into some civil anarchy type shit because it's just already just hyper sense right now. Tensions are growing. People are afraid genuinely, and the media is just driving up that fear. It's despicable.
No, I agree.
Despicable.
Very much so. I would say it's a.
Go ahead.
You gonna say something?
Yeah, Johnny.
Yeah. No, I agree with like what G was saying as far as like it coming from them is totally different than the taxpayers, and we're gonna be extra. We have to be extra careful now with like the news that we see and how they're gonna clip it up because we already see the games that the left is gonna try to play with us and our minds. Like they treating us like we not gonna go and watch the video, and if we don't go watch the video, we doing a disservice to us, and we only fueling what they want. Again, I don't know how successful he will be, because Harvard and them got good lawyers too. And like the lawyers,
the best nigga, hell yeah.
The lawyers up there good, so I don't know how successful they gonna be in like taking that private money. and just giving it to people.
Johnny, where the judges go to school?
Oh, but Harvard, Yale, Princeton.
Come on.
Hey, good luck. Good luck with that.
Man, I couldn't agree more with what John's saying. Like, first off, it's not our tax dollars, and second off, I think this is exactly why the Democrats lost the election. They lie, spin truth, and sensationalize, and then try to get people emotionally, involved in something that if they look at for the facts themselves, like when Trump said there's good and bad people off both sides, and he specifically said Antifa and white nationalists. He specifically said that Antifa, they were in the Black Lives Matter movement doing most of the violence. And then we got blamed for it. So those are bad people on one side, just like the neo-Nazis were on the others, but they just played that one clip. This is more of the same of that. And I think if you believe that, Q, then you have a victim mentality. Because you are reaching.
I like that flip. That was reason. Good. So for me, I think it's an interesting legislation to start off with, for sure. Again, if the idea is that the word reparation is inflammatory, I think that's sure. I would also imagine that like people within, like to me, I specifically don't necessarily care, but I would imagine that for like people that are in the front line, like let's say the FBA movement, how easily a legislation can be like said to be passed to push restitution for a past ill. To me, that's the concept that I think is really, really interesting. And for people that are pushing for quote unquote restitution for a past ill through legislation, it seems that it is possible, but why hasn't it happened?
And you can either hang your head and be a pessimist and be like, why they get it so easy? Or you can be optimist and say, now that they've had this precedent, how can we use this precedent to apply to our actual issue? And I think that's a better approach than to, because it seems like there's a big thing with people who disagree with FBA's movement. Our ideology like to say, well, you never get reparations. You ain't never going to get in. There's a situation where there seems to be an L. They want to point the finger at that. And if we seem to get a dub, they want to downplay that. So that is part of the mentality that has to go,
Okay. So in essence, you see it as them getting restitution for DEI is a step in the right direction for Black people getting reparations.
Yes, because if on the books you make a company or an organization or private institution have to pay a group of people based on damages that they did to them, then they can't, like in the very next ruling, they look crazy if they say that, well, this other corporation did exactly the same thing and they targeted this group of people and they did it by millions and they didn't have a choice to do it. It's a little more difficult to make that argument.
So I guess this almost becomes like, We'll get off of this because it runs quick into identity politics. But then I asked then with this and kind of I guess like the feeling, would it then make sense for the FBA movement and people for reparations to go after institutions that directly benefited from slavery as a way to actually get quote unquote or tax the endowment and receive reparations, if that is the means in which restitution is being given?
I mean, it's a good idea. Because I mean,
put me on the committee. My bad.
There's a lot of banks and a lot of these Fortune 500 companies where paperwork documented, they own slaves. A lot of these banks charge interest on slaves. So they're still around today, and they make, even in like some of the recessions, like the 08, a lot of those same companies played a big part in the 08, recession. So why not make them, tax? They're getting government bailouts too. So
got it. All right. So nonetheless, I think that where we're at leads to like the icebreaker. Again, we were speaking about versions of identity. I think A Black let us know why the Dems lost identity politics and the fear mongering. And I lead that to ask the question, is it time to leave identity politics, the shame game, virtue signaling alone Is it time? It seems as though, again, the election just passed, landslide loss. It doesn't seem to be like the most effective tactic, even right now, inside this most recent conversation. Everybody kind of pushed away from the notion of they're giving it away. Hey, what about us, right? Is it time to leave identity politics in the past?
What do you mean by identity politics?
Okay. Generally speaking, it would be the tactic of the left that the left often uses, in which it uses specific different versions of identity to either make in groups or out groups.
Race,
So,
gender, sex.
right. There you go.
Make that the theme of their narrative of their issues. So did this thing devolve into women's rights and women's issues somehow out of nowhere, instead of just issues in general? So basically, you turn people off because a lot of groups are marginalized. A lot of groups are going through things, but at the same time, there are things that we all go through in general that the governments should be focused on, the most powerful government in the world, while we have the legislation about he being she and surgery money for tax dollars for trans, like shit like that, like, and there's people dying out here, like that's gonna turn people off eventually, because it's like we know what people are. If I see a man, that's a man. If I see a woman, that's a woman. Now what you do with your sexuality is another thing, but you can't force people to completely rewire their programming and their conditioning to like see things as what they not. You a man or you're a woman. That's what somebody sees. They don't know you, so they know what they see. But all of this shit at the end of the day becomes like nonsense, because it's like, all right, what's going on with the economy? What's going on with this gas shit? Like, what's going on with like these things that people are kind of getting tired of? And that's why you see commercials during the election. Kamala wants to give money to trans people in jail. Like they know the shit to focus on, because then you see some like, well, why are my tax dollars paying for somebody in jail to get a trans surgery? Like, they're in jail, you know. And so people are seeing that and they're thinking about their real issues, and then they see Glorilla and they see all these other things. They getting mad because it's like, bro, what? Like, what are y'all talking about right now? Like, people are dying, literally and figuratively. Like, the Democrats lost sight of that. They acting like this shit is the damn ESPYs and the BET Awards. Like, what are y'all celebrating? I don't get it. They was turned up for about a month and a half. They was turned the fuck up.
I mean, Trey. Okay, now
bro.
And you said this should. Are you talking about the Democrats leaving or just everybody?
This can expand across the board. I think that this goes for what we've seen not work specifically in this election. But then there's a lot of different schools of thoughts that do adapt versions of identity politics. Again, do we think that that's something that should be left in the past, left alone? Is that something that we should lean forward to and try and embrace? I
mean, because I think that's how Trump won his campaign. Is he played the identity, but he played with a bigger identity. He tapped into that white fear. He tapped into that middle class American is not. So I don't think the problem was specifically identity politics. I think it was the identities they were trying to push, and I think they're not identities that necessarily resonate with the mass populace of America, like the way the identity that Trump was pushing resonates. It's a lot of people that can identify with the message Trump's pushing versus the shit that a lot of the left is talking. You, even if you tolerate it, you don't necessarily identify with it. You just be like, nah, we can all get along. I don't want to hurt, but you don't identify. So I think you have to find a bigger, broader identity if you're the left. But it's working really good for the right now.
Man, I agree with John again. Like identity politics, it depends on how you utilize it. That's why I was asking like your definition in the beginning, because I think the Black empowerment movement, which the particularly foundational Black empowerment. When I say FBA movement, I'm not really necessarily saying the movement as FBA. I'm just saying identifying the lineage, because it's a lineage, it's not like a group. But anyway, I think that is like purely identity politics, because we are delineating and we are advocating specifically for our own benefit. And, once we get in power, then we can help other people. So I think that identity politic is growing and becoming more powerful. And I think the reason that we haven't made much progress as a people, like as a Black collective, is that we have had this idea of blanket Blackness in our identity, or either we'll have like, I'm gay. I'm not gonna say this. Somebody would. Oh, my fault. This gonna be a crazy clip. Somebody might say somebody might say that they are a Black gay, or they might say they are a Black woman. They might even say they are a Black man. But at the end of the day, we are in this together as a lineage in America, and we have a shared identity. So once we capture that identity and make that a part of our politics, and I think identity politics can be very powerful, and I think that's the only means for us getting reparations too.
Yeah, I think I gotta pretty much agree with, it's a lot of consensus on the panel tonight. I don't know what's going on, man, but I think like identity politics, if executed well, is you can't go wrong. It's when the issue is the average identity of the American population is not who those identity politics were meant for. You see what I'm saying? They were catering to such a niche audience, if you will, and they were playing on things that they thought were a big deal that just didn't really matter to the average person voting as much as they thought. And so I feel like, if we even look at Kamala's plan for Black men, if she actually had a real plan for Black men that was specifically for Black men, and she said, this is what I'm doing for you and nobody else, I think she would have got a completely different response, if I'm being honest. But that wasn't what she came out with, right? So I just feel like when you start talking about identity politics, it's all about how you articulate the message to the group. You feel what I'm saying? And unfortunately, when you look at the
so y'all are saying that y'all believe that Trump ran this last election on identity politics.
Yeah, but he played on like someone said, wider identity. He played on
that'd be
middle
like
class.
more like socio-economic than like the idea of gender or race being a precipice of how a thing, or like thoughts, ideologies, and what should be done.
But I mean, I think a lot of white people did identify, not necessarily with Trump, but like what Trump's saying about the DEI and the include. There's a lot of white people out here that felt, not saying it was, but they felt discriminated against. They felt like this whole woke movement was like against them. So Trump played on that narrative or that identity. People who identify with that, he played to their hand very well.
Yeah, I think there's also an identity of people who are like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like patriots, if you will, who are very much like big on immigration. And I also want to just say something too that I don't think we really talk about as much when it comes to the Latinos that voted for Trump. Is like in like people outside of that world of the border kind of wonder, like, why are the Latinos pro-Trump? Why do they act like they don't want immigration? But what a lot of folks got to realize is that a lot of those folks in states like Texas, let's just use Texas as an example. Texas had already separated itself from Mexico before it became a part of the United States. It had already established itself as this entity of Texas. So you can just imagine what that looked like at its inception in terms of who's in Texas. So when Texas becomes a part of the United States, Texas still cares about its border with Mexico. You see what I'm saying? Same thing with Arizona, New Mexico, California, the Colorados, all these places where a lot of the Hispanics live in the Southwest. They were technically there. They didn't get there illegally. They were there before these places became states in the United States. So they do care about protecting their borders and having people come in and take away from things that they built. So I do think like the way we look at identity is not really relatable from the Democratic side, whereas the Republicans tried to be, or I say they did a better job of identifying with more relatable, tangible things that people could actually feel. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
right. It sounds like it's speaking closer to going away from like the specific divide of like, let's say, race and gender, as much as whether you want to say like the later MLK or the Fred Hampton, the Rainbow Coalition, or the Poor People's March, where it's about socioeconomic status.
yeah,
Where it's like, you know, relatable values instead of like a specific identity. And when it comes down to like ethnic, sexuality, or gender.
yep.
Man, it's crazy because it's almost like we're witnessing another party flip, because Republicans used to be the party. I mean, the Democrats used to be the party of the common man, and they used to be the party that was anti-war. But now people voted Republican on behalf of the common man because they don't want war, and that's totally different.
Which is nutty.
Yeah.
Which is nutty that people actually were thinking that voting, but that's a different convo.
About the war situation.
Yeah, the Republicans love war. Like they about to run the budget up. What are we talking about?
But the only thing though is like they made the argument that there were no new wars created under Trump, and that Ukraine situation really hit the fan after he left. Or the same thing in Israel. So they just have like, when you have that to compare it to versus the 4 years before, then that's more of what their argument.
Yeah, I hear that, but those 4 years before then are just 4 years. Whereas you look at the 8 years under Bush, what that regime looked like. You look at the Republican before Bush, in terms of his dad in the 90s, and you look at the end of the day, Republicans are very much pro high military spending, and they've always been like that. Like that's always been one of their like go to. So people actually thinking, like, honestly, I don't understand the Muslim population who voted for Trump in support of Gaza, because I don't know, y'all saw how he just appointed who's like, I don't believe in no two-state solution.
Right. But I think he was running on the idea of I'm gonna end it really quickly.
Yeah, I bet. That's what I'm saying.
Some of them thought that it might be a quote unquote something, whether it was one state solution or I don't know. Trump says words sometimes, and then he doesn't. Yeah.
But this is what I mean. It's like they got They got if they really thought voting Republican was going to lead to, say, a better outcome for quote unquote pro-Palestinian people. If you think that the Republican Party is going to lead you to that goal of a peaceful two-state solution and not be giving all this money over there, then you're mistaken.
Okay, and so I guess as we're transitioning out of the topic. So are y'all saying that identity politics based on race, gender, or sexuality can be successful, or is it just when it's a larger net, i.e., socioeconomic, nationalism, or something inside that space? Hey, Black, you've been quiet down there, so I went, and you might have been the only one that wasn't for identity politics in general. Talk to us.
Yeah, what was the latest question?
So no, I was just kind of like reacting it as we transitioned out of it. It sounded like there was some consensus on the idea that identity politics, when it comes down to socioeconomics, works. When it comes to nationalism, working. But identity politics based on, let's say, race, gender, or sexuality, is that something that we believe can work in 2024?
Nah, because no matter who becomes the topic, you're gonna alienate everybody else. So whether it's black people, everybody else out, they mad. Whether it's women, whether it's LGBTQ. So when you focus on that, yeah, you're giving that one side what they want, but you're forgetting this other side is feeling neglected, is feeling left out, it's feeling like, well, that's not an issue for me. This is an issue for me. It's like the student loans thing. It's like everybody don't even have loans. So you pay off loans. What about the people who didn't go to college? I never had them. I already paid this off. What they get. So everybody don't care about the same issues. So as a politician today, you got to kind of find something that's like, what does the majority of people care and not care about? Because you can't please everybody. We always pretty much split down the middle most of these elections. But if I can get the majority and pinpoint what they want, I remember a few years back when Bush was running, it was the gay marriage thing. Like I think I said this on one episode, and he narrowed in on that. It's like I'm against gay marriage, and a lot of people like, boom. We got all the church folks, all the black folks, and everybody like, why you vote for Bush? Because like he tapped into what I believe in. I don't believe in that either. So now we're more evolved, and it's a new thing. So you can't just narrow in on one group and think you're gonna win anymore. It's like you gotta do something for everybody, or at least make everybody feel like you go do something for them.
Again, I'll toss that to anybody else that want to answer. I could restate it, and then so again, we've agreed on socioeconomic. We've agreed on like a version of nationalism. Do y'all believe that something like movements or ideologies or policies based on race, gender, we could take policies out of that, but race, gender, and sexuality can be successful in 2024?
Bro, if there was a real plan for reparations, there would have been record turnout for black voting. If it's done the right way, you can get the people out. You see what I'm saying? But again, the execution is key, and how you market and craft that message is key, right? It's got to be the right message. It's got to be the right package. And unfortunately,
do you think that pushing that would turn off so many other people?
I don't think it would, because like I said, just because you have a plan for reparations don't mean you don't have something for other people too. It's like, right. You just gotta make sure you button it up, right? So it's like, if I'm coming with reparations, I'm also going to make sure that these other quote unquote demographics know that this is what I'm going to do for their communities as well. You know what I'm saying? Like if that's what you're trying to target, if I'm trying to target Hispanic voters, I'm going to really speak to the everyday Hispanic voter. I don't really know what it is that would bring them to the polls, but I know as a black person, I can confidently say if a real plan for reparations was on the table and that was the stakes we were voting for, you would have seen a crazy turnout of black voters of all ages, no question.
Yeah, okay. And you think that would be a viable political strategy for either side, and that could actually win?
Yes.
Dang, G.
Okay.
Dang, G, I agree with you way more on the show than I do in the chat, man. It's crazy. Johnny,
land the plane for us. You agree, disagree? Leaning into race, sexuality, and gender as identity politics can be successful moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't just go about it sloppily, but like I definitely think there is an avenue to do it. For the Democrats, it's like you said, like them, you're gonna have to try to motivate an electorate that's not really voting a lot in order to do that. Like say reparations might be able to do that. For the right, a super strong immigration policy seem to do that. So there is a way.
That one's not based on like a race or identity or gender.
Which one? The immigration policy?
Mm-hmm.
It's designed to like
protect whiteness.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Well, I mean, but it's no Americanness, bro. I want
Nah,
deportations too.
Yeah, but I say that sound like I heard a
Okay,
lot of black people
okay,
being for reparations, not reparations, like
Not for
heavy
the white
immigration as well, and even like the the legal immigrants, they ain't really for it either. That
man.
seems
Yeah.
like a universal thing that everybody's kind of for.
my bad. That's why.
But
I
I
land
think
plane.
the different identities is they for it for different reasons. Like the
I
reason
know for
why.
sure, but that's why it's not like a specific identity
Okay, yeah, okay, I
statement
got it.
as much as it's like a national issue.
Yeah.
No, that's it. I ain't messing around no more.
Nah, I dig it.
Yeah, G put that shit real good. Like if they do reparations for us and then mass reparations / mass deportations ticket, that would have went crazy.
Okay. So nonetheless, if this was the To Be Fair show, I definitely would I hop over there on A Black side and give a little pushback, but we're gonna kind of truck through this one a little bit. So I think that this does walk us down and walk us into our main topic for the day, for the week, in which again we're going to talk about the fall of America and what that looks like or what that could look like. And so I guess I will give like a simple opening question in which, like, let's do like a minute because it's going to be simple, and then we're going to kind of like start unpacking the layers of it. But I want to give this one, then we'll go into some quick memes. Can America fall? Is every great empire meant to collapse? We'll just kind of go around, and again, we'll keep this short, but then we're going to lead into a longer conversation. Can America fall? Is every empire meant to collapse? G.
For sure.
I mean, can it fall? Yes. Will it fall anytime soon? Not in our lifetime.
What does fall mean though, right?
And again, like we can, if y'all would like, we can define out like the working definition of what we mean by fall, and
fall is no more. Third world, people visiting your ruins.
So now I don't see that as fall.
Well, no, but I think every other.
And I'm about to say, I guess like if we look at how, I guess we'll take like the British Empire and the Roman Empire. In them falling, it is not like specifically that neither one of them exist anymore, as much as they've lost their grip, their hold on whether it's the world, society, and their influence. Again, we as long as we can agree on a version of fall, I'm cool with whatever version it is. Are we talking? Would y'all like to talk about a complete disassembly of what America is today, or is it falling from being an actual like strong power to being more or less like a subservient, obedient piece of whichever version? We can go, NATO, WHO, whatever.
So let me give clarity to my original answer, right? So I'll say that the answer is no on the fact that when you look at the past, say, rulers of the globe, if you look at the Roman Empire, yeah, it quote unquote fell. But when you look at the G7 or like what's considered like the top countries, they refer to them as like the group of seven. Italy's in that group. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And the same thing if you look at the UK, like, yeah, they don't have they said the sun never sets on the British Empire because that's how widespread their control was, right? Okay, maybe they're not where they were, but they're still part of that G7 that we talk about. So I think America could definitely slip to where they're not like the dominant ruling power globally. But even if they slip, the influence and the wealth and just what America breeds is always going to be one of those top tier, quote unquote, influential places. I don't see that part changing. Like too many bases everywhere. It's crazy.
No, I think, I mean, if you look at every civilization ever, they've all fallen at some point. But now what you said about the G7, that's like America solidified in that. Like it's us, China, Russia, I think Great Britain, Italy, and France, maybe. But I might
China
not
and Russia not in there, but
Hey,
yeah.
going to where exactly y'all are at. I guess I'm gonna play this meme, and we can continue the conversation.
Hey, let me
And
finish this,
then go. Oh, go. Well, I'll throw right to you. It just goes to what y'all are saying. My bad.
It's crazy how empires rise and fall, and that's one of the things that people are wondering currently about America. If we're in the last throes of a dying empire.
Well, I got a hot take on this.
Please.
I don't think they did. So I don't think the Roman Empire fell. I think it became a church. The Rome fell, but the Roman Empire became the church. Where's all the money from the Roman Empire?
The Vatican.
In the basement of the Vatican.
Yeah.
So Roman Empire became a church. British Empire became a bank. So we gave our empire back. He said, "Oh yeah, sorry about that. You can have that back." We gave, Saudi Arabia back and all these other places that we'd sort of we're taking the resources, and then they had their own money. And then we went, "Oh well, what are you doing with that money? Because we've got this thing called the City of London. I tell you what, it's your money, but we're going to hold it. We'll have it over here. Is that okay?" Yeah, oh, great. So we've still got that thing of like, and.
All right, Johnny, back to you.
Yeah, I was thinking, I mean, that actually kind of gave me a couple other ideas, but I think like with the way we're set up militarily, we might fall a little economically and we might not be the favorite society, but there's no way we're going to ever slip too far down that rank or we could ever be like defeated one-on-one because we have nukes. And if you really try to attack us, there's this thing called mutually assured destruction. I think that kind of levels the playing field to where there's not a lot that could really be done to us. I think obviously with somebody I seen a comment on there that said something about BRICS. I think there are countries that are teaming up to try to dilute our power, especially our dollar. But I don't think they'll ever be able to kind of compete with us on that military level.
Okay.
Only one thing they can do really to compete. Because like they say, if the Brits are the bank and other country or whatever, we the war, we the weapons. That's really a major export, but it would take somebody.
AI too. That's really the next thing.
That's what I'm saying. Technology is really about. That's how empires fall. If other people catch up with technology. So if weaponry is how we got our hold in the world, we're the only country that got army bases in other countries and other continents and stuff, creating something technology that can disable and make all of that useless, that would be the next advancement really of taking over in warfare. Because right now America's advantage is no matter what other countries do, if it comes down to it, we just go bomb y'all. We got more bombs. We closer to y'all because we got bases in other countries. But if somebody created a device or a machine that can disable all jets and everything, then you on equal fighting ground again. So that's all it's really about. Who's going to advance and have the next technological event? That's really what empires are. Somebody get the gunpowder. Somebody had the horses. Somebody had the bow and arrow. Then they got, and now we got these nuclear bombs and stuff. So will it be AI and data? I don't know what's next, but it's got to be something that put people on equal
totally.
My bad. G sent this in. This wasn't to stop you from talking, but I just wanted to give the audience an opportunity to kind of see what he was talking about.
Yeah, it's like, these other countries on here, like these up and coming countries, the Russias, the Chinas, they're still so far behind in terms of like global infrastructure. I think that's just one of the things that the U.S. has an advantage on is just the global infrastructure. And part of that global infrastructure is due to all the immigration. It's funny, right? Because it's like all of these other countries' best come here to make money, and then they take that money and reinvest it back in their own communities back home, but you come here to run the bag up. So as long as this is the place where the world sees it as an opportunity to get the bag, like it's going to always have that significant presence, in my opinion.
Okay. So I guess just to make sure we clarify when we're talking about fall. So, and I guess we can go with a yay nay to this. And with whichever majority, yeah, 1, 2, well, damn, it might not be majority, but we'll see. Do we look at America falling as like a complete dissembling of what America is and stands for today, or in us saying America fall? Oh, do y'all want to say use that in the terminology of more so it losing its place inside, like what you just had, like the G7 to maybe even falling to the G20 or something like that, where it loses its place inside power when it comes down to global significance. So putting it at like going from G7 to G20, do y'all feel like that's a fair way to look at it? As in America falling?
Like, you mean more like a decline than a falling?
Going from like the number one superpower to a G20. But yes, all right. So listen, or we could talk about like a complete destruction and dissembling of what America is, like the USSR. Which one do y'all think would be an easier version or a better version of the conversation? I'll just say USSR or G20. When we're talking about our working definition of what fall means, those for like G20 and that being our working definition, yay or nay? G.
Circle back.
Trey, a complete assembly USSR or like falling from dominance into being like regular, i.e. G20. Which word do we want to use for fall?
I mean, I think is the USSR.
You could use fall and collapse. Maybe that makes it better. Like fall could be like declining to like G20, and collapse could be a complete like dissembling of America. That's just a good idea.
I like that language. I agree with that. Because decline, like the South after slavery ended, like Mississippi was like one of the richest states in the nation, and now look at them. So I would say that is like a collapse, but a fall, like America already kind of has fallen from when we had like America had all this free labor. They were able to abuse people. Like it's basically just an extension of like of the revised Roman Empire. So
a little bit, but that was still during like the British Empire,
when
like America didn't become like the global number one until like it was like
after
World War I. Yeah, I think it was like between World War I and II, where British like England or the British Empire they tapped themselves out.
Right, that is true, but I think it's kind of an extension because like America and Britain are kind of like cousins anyway. The same people that established America are the same people over there. So it's kind of like the clip you played where they changed their name, shifted their money somewhere else, but they still had possession of the money and the control. They just didn't went more underground with it. So I don't think that power structure will collapse until like the end of days. Like that's like scriptural. And I think that would be like the fall of white supremacy. But can America survive without white supremacy?
Well, hey, Trey, I think that
we boy.
Yeah. We was going for like more of a yes or no on this one, but you kind of like just went down and like completely But it sounded like you was cool with the framing of right.
Oh man.
But it sounded like you was cool with the idea of fall and collapse, G20, USSR. Is I guess to save time, is everybody cool with that? The idea of collapse being more so like how USSR completely disassembled, but fall being like declining from number one to somewhere inside the G20.
Yeah, that's cool. I think so. So we said we're gonna lean more into the G20 instead of like.
Yeah, either way, I don't think it matters. It ain't falling either one of those levels.
Okay, all right, I like that. And so I guess we've been compared to Rome often. I wanted to find this clip that Johnny sent me. Let me see if I can find it real quick as I'm talking. But we've been compared to Rome often, and a lot of people say that America is the new Rome, and we are falling down the footsteps of what kind of led to Rome's demise. I'm gonna play this is about like a minute and a half. I want to say maybe it's like, maybe it's 2 minutes of this, and I'd love to get y'all unpacked opinion.
Roman Empire fall. Let's break it down with 8 major reasons in under 3 minutes. 1. Civil wars. Rome was constantly torn apart by civil wars. Generals fought to become emperor, weakening the empire and making it vulnerable to outside invasions. 2. Inflation. Rome's economy collapsed. They spent too much paying soldiers and imported more than they exported, causing massive inflation and economic instability. 3. Germanic migration. Germanic tribes moved into Roman territory but didn't want to adopt Roman culture or language, creating tensions that fractured the empire. 4. Moral decay. The ruling class became corrupt and indulgent, while the people relied too much on the state for free food and entertainment, making them less willing to defend Rome. 5. Cavalry advances. Rome's military relied on foot soldiers, but their enemies advanced with cavalry tactics like horse archery, and Rome failed to keep up. 6. Christianity. As Christianity spread, its pacifist values and rejection of wealth made it harder to recruit soldiers, and the focus shifted away from military strength. 7. Population decline.
I think that's kind of a good enough kind of like breakdown where there are some similarities when we hear about a lot of different populist movements that have gained traction off of grievances dealing with America and what could and should be fixed about America. There's a couple, I guess, different bullet points that I would like to get into, but I'm gonna ask the question first. But these bullet points are, they spoke about civil war. Is there a possibility that us as Americans could actually embark on a civil war? Economy, talked about inflation. We talk about BRICS, or just America's inability to actually colonialize places and take their resources. Immigration, the moral decay, war, religion, and then of course there could be others. So I lead that to ask y'all, if you were to guess, even if like your stance is not specific that America could fall, but if you were to guess if America did fall, what would be the reason for it? Start with Johnny.
I think it would be political. I don't think it'd be civil war, but I think it'd be political division. And what I could see happening more, and the more and more I thought about it, the most probable thing that will happen, hopefully, is that America will probably split along political lines, your red states and your blue states. And that way, I think it, and then you would have two separate, kind of like the USSR, where you got Ukraine, you got all these different countries that were formed out of this big conglomerate once it got too big and it was almost unable to hold itself together. I could see something like that happening with America, where some people say we too big and we got too many different people that believe in too many different things to where it's hard to satisfy all of us politically. And so the fracturing of the America in that way would probably be the thing that makes sense. It would give a lot of people, I'm a big sovereignty guy. It would give a lot of people more chances to actually, chase and achieve that sovereignty you may be looking at. So I think,
you a Blackmore?
Oh,
my bad.
I'm a maroon, bro. Chill out. But nah, I could see that happening to
driving
America.
around with no license. I feel you. I am operating a vehicle.
He's talking about sovereign citizens. Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, this is my house.
Yeah, them niggas wild. Yeah.
Hey, Black, talk to us. We can't hear you.
And we saying, can it fall? I mean,
Yeah, if it was to fall, what would your prediction be? Even if you don't believe it could fall, if it was to fall, what do you think that your prediction of it would be?
it would have to be something internal. Something self-destructive or implosive that would make it happen. We too spread out. We got, our hands in too many cookie jars around the world, too many relationships built, too many countries. We've built their infrastructure, stabilized them, and conditioned their minds and whatnot. So it's like, it would have to be like something like very suicidal on our part from a leader or a government that's like that just wants to burn it all down. But I don't see no outside force being able to do it, because we literally are. We don't look at it, but we really are an empire for real. Like we are the Roman Empire. Like I say, we army bases, that's occupation. Like we are in these different places. Imagine China with an army base here, or Russia with an army base in New York.
Right.
Like nobody else is doing that.
That's
That's empirical empire type shit. So to take down the empire, when you look at it, it's always internal. It's always cool. It's always inside, or some major technological advance that somebody else comes up on. But I don't see it. Like I say, we will have to destroy ourselves.
Right, A Black.
Oh no, go ahead.
Because that movie, Leave the World Behind, where all they did was take down the infrastructure and cause massive blackouts. And our grid is very vulnerable. We always hear them talk.
Are you talking about the Obama movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
So they took down the power grid. And
the Netflix joint.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting that Obama and them would make that movie, but
it is very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Interesting. Suspicious. Very suspicious.
Very suspicious.
But if they take down our infrastructure, like our power grid and everything like that, and then we're so dependent on our phones, people really have only enough in their refrigerator to be able to get through like the next couple of weeks or whatever. People aren't really growing their own food. It would cause so much chaos that it may destabilize America. And would we have all these like millions of unvetted foreign nationals in America who are here and ready? A lot of them are military aged men. Like we are very vulnerable to that right now. Like it kind of.
So right now, if you're giving like what you think that it will be, what are you saying that it will be? Just your prediction. If you had to give a quick prediction,
man.
Again, we'll go down because go ahead. Not bad.
I'm saying the fact that people don't talk about this vulnerability more is kind of baffling, because if we have tens of millions of people here, if they take down the power grid, all they have to do is mobilize those people. They be ready, and then we would just be sitting ducks out here.
Okay, so your thing is infrastructure. It'll be a foreign power taking down infrastructure
and troops. Because if there's tens of millions of illegals or undocumented people, they've even caught some terrorists.
Hold on, you think they could attack the country of America?
Bro, if the American guns,
I mean,
Hey, Johnny, this is just his opinion. We'll get through like everything else. This is just everybody's simple prediction. It's okay.
No, it'll be a fight because not only is it the guns we have, it's also the terrain. Like we have all these mountains here, and then they'll have a very hard time in Florida. I think it would be difficult, but I think that's why, like in the world behind, they relied on us to turn on ourselves. Like because if you take down the power infrastructure, nobody can call the police, and all these people that have kind of been itching for opportunity because white supremacists, they use natural disasters as an opportunity to attack black people, because we even saw during Katrina where they were down there picking black people off who they said were who were looting, and we saw Kyle Rittenhouse who went down to the protest just to shoot people. So we'll have some of that go on, and it won't even take foreign nationalists. So if people have the power to do whatever they want to do, it might be like a purge type situation, which that could be very dangerous, especially to our people because we like to play so much.
Okay, so you said infrastructure, immigration, and possible purge. G.
I think so I disagree that it would be internal. I actually think if America were to fall, the most likely sort of thing to make it crash would be if somehow the US dollar lost its value in a way, because like part of why the dollar keeps its value is because of the international transactions that is used for, especially in the oil market. For example, most international transactions in oil are done in US dollars, and that was, I think, one of the agreements they made with the Saudis, if I'm not mistaken. But let's say, for example, oil trades stop, US dollar stops being a default oil trade. What does that mean to the value of the US dollar here domestically? And then so I'm thinking like, okay, if they somehow, and I've heard of the BRICS coming up with some currency here allegedly and things like that nature, because the power is in the money ultimately. So if somehow, some way they find a way to devalue that US dollar, and then the people here who have these quote unquote dollars all of a sudden lose 40-50% of what they think they have just because the dollar lost value, yeah, you're gonna see, that's when you'll start to see like people spark up a little bit, anarchy, things of that nature, because they lost money just by holding on to it.
Gotcha. I think that's everybody, right? All right, so saying all that to move on into the conversation, again, I think that they gave a couple points that I think are relevant to America. Again, America is often referred to as the new Rome, in which there's a bunch of different versions of theories of why it fell, but I'll kind of list a couple of them, and then we'll start unpacking some of these and see if these are viable threats to the fall of America or not. Again, the Civil War, the economy, immigration, the moral decay, war, and religion. So I guess we could start with the idea of Civil War. So in America, I guess what we have seen more or less recently is in 2000 we had, not 2020, we had January 6th, where there was like the first remnants of what could be thought of as a coup, of the beginning sparks of a civil war, where there was a leader who galvanized a group of people to take action against the American government. So I guess I lead y'all to ask one, or better yet, we have that, and then we have Trump's assassination attempt. With what we just learned about how red America actually has become. With this, it was a landslide win. And I guess I'm interested. Do you think that his assassination, if that had actually happened, could that have been like one of those things that could have actually set off an American Civil War?
I mean, that's the side that, like, if any side's gonna start it, it's gonna be the right. I don't think the left really, gonna do that. So I think if you, it would have been, I would have been very scared to come outside the next day if he actually would have got hit with that bullet. I don't know if they would have actually did a civil war, because I don't know if it would have been that organized that quick, but there definitely would have been a lot of riots and a lot of vitriol. There would have been some form of response, and it would have been targeted towards, I believe, a specific group of people.
What year was the January 6th thing?
That was 2021,
and that was during COVID, right?
Yeah.
And George Floyd was during COVID, right?
2020.
Same. Okay. So did he,
or was it 2019? Was it 2019?
Yeah, I think that might have been before COVID. I want to say.
Nah, because
it was during COVID.
Oh no, it was because everybody had their mask on.
Because they was mad at everybody for taking.
Yeah.
During COVID.
It was like during that
2020.
summer.
Yeah,
it was like the summer of 2020. The election was fall.
I say that because like with both of those, it's like activism was super high during that time, and then January 6th happened. But it's like they galvanized people, or did niggas not have nothing else to do? Like the white people didn't have nothing else to do. We all bored. Let's go storm the Capitol. Black people, George Floyd, like, yeah, that sucks, but shit, we ain't got shit else to do. Let's go march. Like, it's a thing to do. Everybody marching because we ain't got shit else to do. We stuck in the house, so it's like we gotta put that in the context with the whole January 6th shit. Because I don't believe if the world was opened up like it would have been, that all the people would have showed up and did that. And then it's like, I don't care. They do shit to us. They want to fuck up the Capitol, let them fuck it up.
Well, I think it was more so the idea of like if they had actually stopped the vote from being overthrown, that'd be like the first time in American history there would have been a sous-serve of democracy, like presidential process actually not happening.
Yeah, well, they ain't happened. So what can you do?
The whole situation was mad suspicious.
Gotcha. And I guess the only other pushback that I would give would be, I guess one would say that the majority of the quote unquote Black Lives era and protests was during like the 2016 through 20, where you had a bunch of like the majority of the rioting, I'm blanking on like the names of the times and stuff. The Trayvon Martins, all the like, y'all remember all the different the Massey's, the whatever the whole Rittenhouse thing was. Those were pre-COVID. It wouldn't be insurrections, but protests that were happening. Where I think in general it was just kind of like a very tense time.
Yeah, Occupy Wall Street's another one.
Yeah. That was like 2013, 14, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, right before BLM stuff.
Yeah, America's had plenty of, even before that, all history is full of revolutions.
But there's never been one that's might have possibly like one could consider a coup, or do you?
You mean at the federal level? Only
it was attempting to stop like if they had broke down the door, they would have stopped the election. Or if let's say even if that didn't happen, imagine if what's his name, Trump's ex vice president, if he had just decided to go, if he had decided to go away from what every other vice president did and went with like the electors that they were sending up there, and they just went the other way from what the election actually decided. I don't think that could have sparked some version of internal fighting in America, where through the guise of the actual election, the person that was elected didn't get elected, and through the other person's use of power, he stayed in office.
Man, I think Trump is going to do a probe on that election, and that should be very interesting. We'll see, because I think that'll put the January 6th situation into.
But just saying to the premise and concept that I presented.
I
understand that you don't believe that the election was
I'm not
real
saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's what's being said.
All right, so just saying to like if Pence at that moment, without like the proper proof, had went against what the actual election results had said, do you think that there would have been some version of an upheaval in America?
I'm not sure because what it would have been like, who's on the side of the left, like the left extremists versus the right extremists. I don't know if the left extremists are like the coup type of people. Like, what are they going to be, like a rainbow march on the White House and then just overthrow it? I don't see that really materializing. But real quick,
Antifa. I thought they didn't like. I thought Antifa would be, quote unquote. No.
But even them, they weren't able to do anything.
The windows, they don't be out here with no real smoke.
And then hiding behind black people to do it.
Okay. They don't be out here with no real smoke.
Okay, so in that sense, your thought is that they could have refused the right of the election, and Trump would have stayed in office, and the Democrats and or the rest of the American populace would have not did anything.
They'd have been crying about it.
Yeah. Worse than they're crying right now. But real quick, the only coup in American history was in Wilmington, North Carolina, by the way, where they overthrew the black government, and then they still have power over there. Now, y'all probably knew that because y'all from North Carolina.
1898,
right.
It also started a mass migration from Concord, Cannon Mills too. A lot of black people got the fuck out of North Carolina after that. It's a very interesting story if y'all don't know.
Really, what? I mean, I was reading a book about that. It's like we don't have to read a scary movie, man. Like that, the way they wrote that down was like that's the most horrific story I ever told. Like the Democratic campaign slogan that year in North Carolina was just the N word with an exclamation point. Like straight up.
Nigga.
Okay, all right. So consensus says that even if the Republicans had successfully ran a coup, overturned the election, and Donald Trump had stayed in power, nothing would have happened, and it wouldn't have resulted into much action.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
The fact they televised the whole thing is also, when you think about it, kind of like, why, like, y'all are gonna show all this news about them about to overthrow the government, but not intervene. Like it just don't make sense, bro. Like it just, America is like a crazy beak. It really is like a soap opera over here, bro. It really don't make any sense. Like what other country just gonna let people do that at a time like that in a building like that with people in there at that level? You like these are some of the most protected people. Like it just the fact that they televised it and they allowed it to get to this point is almost like that. That was my whole thing about the resurrect or the insurrection is why didn't they take these niggas out, bro? Like
but they could have. It was fed instigators in the crowd, bro.
They should have. They should, like, they're all that retreating, barricade the door. No, bro. Like, y'all are getting down. What are you even thinking about right now?
Let that have been the Million Man March when Farrakhan
no question. No question.
Had all them black folks out there.
Bro,
no question.
And then when they talk about Ashley Babbitt, that's the most contradictory thing I really hear from them, is because they want to talk about protect the blue and all the other stuff and then stop resisting. And then they're mad when the lady was trying to break into the chambers and got blown away right there. So I always kind of bring that up when I talk to people who are SWS, just because, like, how you defend Ashley Babbitt, but you also defend the law enforcement at the same time. And also there were feds in the crowd that were instigating this whole situation. That was out there too. So there was more to the story. Like you said, if this really happened spontaneously, they could have easily put an end to this.
Yeah, and it's I don't know if online. They had the intel. Like they knew this was going down. Like they didn't. This is what I'm saying. It's almost like, I don't want to say it's like staged, but it was very weird that things really went that far. That was so unprecedented. It just was like, this really can't be real right now.
Bro, how you get taken over by a shirtless man in like a Viking hat, bro?
It's so crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. Yo, and if Trump pardoned these niggas, bro, that shit is going to, now, like I said, it's like soap opera.
Gotcha. I don't know. Okay. So it sounds like in general, everybody here just don't believe that January 6th was what it was presented to be, and I imagine everybody just rejecting the premise of the question that it would be like if it had actually went successful, that there wouldn't have been an issue.
I mean, I think there would have been an issue, but I don't think the Democrats or the average American was prepared to do anything at that time. So we just would have been crying. I don't want to say we just would have glossed over it, but in real,
Okay, so then I get
if somebody
okay.
tools America, what plan do we have to go against it?
What we supposed to do?
Like they just
okay, gotcha. So by I guess the omission of what y'all are saying, I'll ask this question: could America fall victim to a dictator?
I think we have too many checks and balances, man.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
It'd be tough.
But given what y'all just said, that would be the way that a dictator could actually come into power.
But he still
I don't
only
see how
got
those two things could be mutually exclusive.
He only got but so many terms and so many years that he can hold that position. So even like legally speaking, like now, if somehow now he runs for a third term, that's like, okay, this is this, but I gotta see it first. I don't think that's gonna happen. Like you see what I'm saying?
but just then, the hypothetical that was given was that if Trump flexed his power and his people stopped the vote, and he was given a term outside of what he was like justfully supposed to have, and y'all response was that,
I think,
well, we're not prepared and we couldn't do anything. To me, that sounds as if let's say he does that at the end of this term, or in general, that sounds like the playbook of how a actual dictator becomes a dictator. Okay, go ahead, Johnny.
Bring it here.
Okay.
You know something white people been doing for a long time that what black people used to think was stupid? They was going in the woods shooting guns and doing tactical drills, and
okay.
And we was like, I wonder what they doing that for. And then January 6th happened, and we like, oh shit, they've been practicing. And it's like they're ready for shit like that, and they're like way more prepared. The
shit was not technical.
but Johnny, like bring that to like actually answering the question though. I don't even see how that correlates
what I'm
to
saying
the second question I was asking.
Democrats, like if Trump is as scary as they're painting him out to be, then and he's back in office for 4 years, we better, or the Democratic Party better be doing everything in their power to prepare to fight this man to get him out of office and to fight this man for the country. Like if he's as bad as they've made him seem, then you have to be ready to do some January 6th stuff if he's that big of a boogeyman. So I think the Democrats need to have a lot of that fight back like we've seen from the right. That's all I'm saying. They were ready to fight for their country. I don't think the left is ready to fight like that.
So that would be like saying that America could fall victim to the right becoming a dictatorship because of the left is not prepared. I'm trying to understand where you was like
it's a possibility.
Answering the question at.
It's a possibility. Like I believe based on that coup attempt, I don't see the Democrats having that kind of
I gotta say, like, to somebody, like I rarely quote Tara G, but I'm gonna quote her right now because if Democrats really stood on what they claim Trump is, they wouldn't have, Trump and Biden wouldn't be shaking hands, acting like everything is cool and make sure you get set up. It's gonna be peaceful. Like that, like that's kind of the it's like if things were really what they were.
All right, my bad. So G, I guess I want to make sure. So right now we're not engaging on like we're engaging in the hypothetical, not specifically what we understand it to be. I don't think that, and the question is not specifically posed as in reality that Trump is going to be a dictator. That's not specifically the hypothetical. It would be if, in general, things did go the way it happened. Does that mean that we are vulnerable for an actual dictator? As a populace, as a country, i.e. the sous surf of the checks and balances happening?
Nah, because even if let's say that ends up going down and Pence doesn't do what Pence ends up doing the opposite of what he did.
Mm-hmm.
you still have senators, governors, you have local states like or local counties. The way that this stuff breaks down between federal, state, local government, you can fight back against what the federal government is saying. Like people have different rules that the federal government don't have for everybody else. Like you can't, like, you know, like weed is legal in states, but the federal government says it's illegal, right? But you still are doing what you do. So I feel like even if you that were to happen, he still wouldn't be able to just tell everybody what to do and how to do it. Like it wouldn't be like when I think dictator, I'm thinking North Korea. If I'm being honest, I'm thinking Russia type deal.
But what you're saying sounds like the collapse of America, not even the fall, where like everything fractures inside different versions.
No, I'm saying that
like if each state starts to become its own autonomous space outside of the federal government.
They are, though, that like currently. That's how it is.
I understand. Yes, I understand that. Yes, I think we would. I don't know if we need to go into like a complete unpack and deep dive of like the differences, but also like how there's a hierarchical, like, you know, status on certain levels of the federal and the local government. But I understand what you're saying. But I do think that would be different on a level if a president stays in power and the states not respecting that.
Well, all you could do is just cut off federal aid.
Right. But then that's when America becomes a different thing completely. That's when you have, like, you know, the annexes and Tajani sovereignty of different states, XYZ. But understood. Nonetheless, A Black, do you think that America could fall victim to a dictator at some point in time?
No. You know, dictators thrive in environments where the populace has already been primed and conditioned to have a dictator. Like, just the way the American mind, personality, bravado is, it's like it wouldn't work. You know, you gotta control people in a different way, but you can't move like China or move like certain countries where they condition them psychologically from birth to where when somebody say do something, they do that. Whereas, you know, Americans are raised to, like, you know, be free. Like, freedom is the American brand. So even in the people don't really exemplify it or have it in a lot of cases, psychologically, every American feels and thinks that they're free. So I think the program is not there for a dictator. And we got too many killers here. You know, you won't last long. Somebody gonna take you out. America will assassinate you quick. It's too many people with money and power that will put a number on your head quick if you get out of hand. And that's the thing. Why I don't have too much fear in Trump is because these people got other people to answer to. Now, if he partnered with the Elon Musk of the world and he got somebody financing him like that, then that's when people should worry about a dictator. Like if he can get,
they are hand in hand right now.
Yeah, if you got Elon Musk money and President Trump's power, you know, who knows what can happen. But I honestly think they're gonna do more good than bad. I think both of them want to be remembered as like progressing the world, like and taking it to the future. You know, so I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen. You know, and
I feel you. I will say,
I flip out of here. I've been making moves.
I agree that in general, I do look at in Trey's words, I look at Trump as almost a useful idiot. But I would also say the person that does scare me inside like this equation does end up being Elon Musk.
Oh, damn, I said that.
Well, you spoken about useful idiots before.
That's a great term.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
But
was talking about Trump, but I feel you.
no, I don't think it was specifically about Trump. I'm just using like your colloquialism
Useful
of like
idiot.
useful idiot per
Oh,
se.
yeah. I think I didn't make it up, but yeah.
But nonetheless, I guess there's the parts where I guess I would want to introduce the concept of like what a lot of conspiracy theorists go down with like the World Health Organization and a lot of these other things that starts taking away liberties and rights. But I think we could probably circle back into that in another part of this conversation. But where we're at, and I think that this ties on to some of Trey and maybe G's point a little bit, where we can speak about immigration. So one of the theories that comes down to how Rome fell is the fact that the immigration was crazy. I think that they say, quote unquote, the Germanic people were not adaptable to the Roman way of life, the Roman culture. Didn't want to speak the Roman language. And in today's time, in America, we have an quote unquote immigration policy, immigration problem. Some might call it an open border. We've heard like the sketches of like they don't want to speak our language. They took our jobs. They don't want to adapt to the American way of life, the American value system in general. Do you think that immigration, if not properly corrected, could change and possibly lead to the fall or the collapse or just the decline of America?
I don't think I think it will accelerate it, but I think the reasons that it's going to happen are already embedded within the fabric of what the country was foundationally built on. Some of the denial for, what Black people really want. I think the division in this country is way beyond just immigration. I think immigration will exacerbate it. It's going to pour fuel on the fire, but I think that fire has started already. I don't think they're the reason for the thing for us if we fall. It's not going to be immigration.
Yeah, I would even say that one of the drivers to like America's dominance is because of immigration. All of the top world's talent comes here. Elon Musk is an immigrant. You know what I'm saying? Like
he's African American.
Yeah, true African American. So yeah, like immigration on it in itself, like even the illegal immigration fuels the economy because this is the economy that was originated off of free labor. So getting labor for under the table prices, not having to pay minimum wage, when you can get away with things like that at a scale, certain industries benefit more than others, I would say. But these are things that end up being backbones of what makes America so wealthy. When you talk about like GDP on a per capita basis, like it's way more than anything else, any other country out there. So, and that's in large part due to both legal and illegal immigration. So they can't just cut it off completely, but they do need to tighten up the process and be more selective with who's able to enter from that standpoint.
Got you. We got two pro immigrations. Trey, talk to us.
Immigration.
That immigration wouldn't really wouldn't be a thing that.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, Johnny, you love to do that, bro.
My bad. My apologies. It wasn't quite. It was.
Put you in a box that you ain't.
It was pro. It wouldn't collapse America. Nonetheless, Trey. Maybe this is the alley-oop. I know that you have stood on the line of closing borders, kick them immigrants out. They taking black jobs. They taking odd jobs.
I'm not a fan of the
Trey,
rhetoric.
talk to us.
I'm a fan. I get what you're saying. I don't disagree.
What I'm saying? Or you talking about Johnny or Trey? G?
No, I don't disagree with the substance of what you're saying, but I do disagree with your rhetoric. like get them immigrants out. Nah, I don't want to say it like that. Let's just say,
but
enforce enforce the law. You know, and if you broke the law, then you got to go. But I'm not gonna be like, we don't have to be rude about it. You know, show some compassion.
Okay, but nonetheless, going to the actual, I guess, root of the question. Do you think that immigration could undermine American values, morals, and lead to some version of a decline and collapse or fall of America when it comes down to like open borders being too open, it changing just who the American populace is, what they vote for, what they want?
Hell yeah. And I disagree wholeheartedly with G that America is America because of immigration. No, America is America because of free labor. And the reason they bring the immigrants over here is not for their innovation, it's for cheap labor. So they want free labor, now they want cheap labor because that's capitalism, because they get to have all, you know, they get to use them as the workforce and then get all the capital up at the top. It's not because all this innovation that black people got, like all these inventions, everything we put together, we didn't need to bring people from like third world countries to be able to have these inventions. We already had inventions from the beginning. We've been leading in invention in the United States. So, and then also when you have the border open, I think that's the biggest threat to the United States, because a lot of people that come over here, especially if they're unvetted, we don't know how they feel about the United States. And the United States has made enemies globally. So if we have a border where we allow anybody from anywhere in the world to come over here unvetted by the millions, a lot of them has smoke for us, then that is definitely a threat to America. And I can't even believe like this national security risk isn't getting more attention. Like everywhere Kamala went, they weren't asking her about the border like that. Shannon didn't ask her about the border like that.
But that's because they had a strict policy that you could only ask the specific questions.
Right.
She was running down on niggas in the interviews, boy. I ain't gonna lie to you. From what I heard, they said that she ain't talking longer than an hour, and you got to approve these questions and you got to edit it.
Straight
I'm
up.
like, God damn. But go ahead, my bad. I ain't mean that.
No, you're right though. But, and then why would the politicians agree to have tens of millions of unvetted people come from all over the world into this country? That is, man, it's like you're begging for something bad to happen. Like if you have a border, then you have to enforce the laws. And
what do they gain from it, Trey? You think like you say it's just because of the money?
What do they gain? That is the question. What do you gain by having potential terrorists come from all over the world into the United States? For one thing, the people who are in charge of those decisions aren't going to be as vulnerable as, you know, the common people that have no say in that cause. So the way we look at it will be totally different than the way they look at it.
But Trey, I guess making sure that I do understand your answers to the question, and then we'll kind of, I think we got to go to A Black, but so do you believe that immigration could, inside like a future hypothetical sense, lead to the fall of America?
Do I think it could lead to the fall of America?
Yes.
Most definitely. I think that's the biggest threat to the fall of America right now. Because again, if something happens to the power grid, and then we have people that from places that don't even have power like that anyway, it's not going to take very much for them to organize an attack against us, and then we are all spoiled and everything, and we have to get our food from the grocery store. That's going to be taken away. So the only people that are really going to have a great chance are people that have like their own, you know, means of like farming and, you know, getting all that stuff together. The rest of us are going to be mad vulnerable out here until the power grid comes back up. So, and then not to mention, when people come over here, you've never seen somebody more proud of their homeland than the person that's in America waving the flag of where they came from. And then they don't have no intention of going back either. So if these people are not trying to assimilate into America, then yeah, that does divide us more. Because as Black Americans, we've fought in every war, and so have the other people that have already been here. So we already have something that's acclimated, and we go and mix that up. Now I think that's when you start having all these things to fraction out. You have all these other disagreements. So
gotcha. Hey, Black.
Yeah, I think I'm a little torn after kind of hearing G and Trey. I think I agree a little bit with both. Both sides can be convincing. It's like I do believe immigration is a part of what makes America it being a melting pot of all type of people. I don't think it's just terrorists coming over here. I still think the biggest terrorist is the white man. You know, they're the only ones really shooting up shit, shooting up schools, shooting unarmed people. So they still our biggest threat. But I just think it has to be, you know, control immigration for sure. And I don't think it should be immigration into cities that are already overpopulated. So like I say, I think it should be like, you know, quartered off like certain states that you can move to for a certain amount of time until you make a certain amount of money that, you know, you contribute into the tax bracket. But I just think they need a more nuanced, sophisticated approach to it versus like you can't come or you can come or sneak in. Like I feel like we too progressive and too smart of a country to not have like a solution that makes sense. I don't think no country should allow anybody to just flood in unchecked. But I think if we're going to be the country that we say we are, a land of the free, it should be ways you can come here. But I think it has to be organized. Like we can't just have people, you know, coming in hordes and, you know, they don't have to pay taxes. We have to pay taxes. They, you know, it just has to be more organized. I don't believe in just banning and blocking the border either. If somebody wants an opportunity here, you should give it. We got plenty of land and plenty of space, but I don't think you should be coming from Mexico and going to New York or going to Miami or going to places where people are already on the streets in LA and shit. Like I think you can go to Montana or North Dakota and Kansas and all these open field ass places and settle there and get on your feet. But I think they should minimize immigration into overpopulated metropolis areas like that. It should be a limit on that because it's just crazy in some of the places. You come in there, they living on the street, and you in the same conditions you in America, but it's worse. You don't speak the language, and it's like, you know, last time I was in New York, it was kind of crazy getting off some of them trains and people just standing around, and they don't speak no English, and they looking like they literally got fresh off the boat. Somebody that dropped them in the middle of New York, and they just like, I'm like, what are y'all doing here? Where y'all get this fruit from? And like, what the fuck is going on? But it's a lot of that happening. But I think you got to be organized. I think you need. America is the unicorn in the world that's supposed to allow everybody to come and go, but it definitely has to be order, and we got to know the intent behind why somebody coming or why somebody being banned.
Can we agree that anybody who don't rock with Black Americans, we don't want none of them over here?
I can't say that all of them don't. Like I feel like
I'm saying if you know that they don't rock with Black Americans, then we do not want them here. I'm not saying I know some of them do, some of them don't, but the ones that we know do not rock with us.
How do we pinpoint that? Like,
talk to them. Talk to them. Get their question.
It's plenty of white people don't fuck with us. I'm like, how do we go test them out?
You said added as a checkbox on the application.
Yeah. How do you feel about Black?
Do you fuck with niggas? Yes.
Lie about that. Like
no.
they lie about everything.
Well, at least let them. Nah, some
I
of
think
them
that this is like an ideological point. He's just saying that in general, if they don't fuck with Black people, they shouldn't be here in America. And if he could possibly vet them inside that way, then we would love to.
America is
give them a polygraph test.
No, bro.
Yeah, polygraphs. Yeah.
If you
when they taking that bus from Florida and in Texas, they gotta have like the polygraph machine in the back, and all the ones that fail it, they gotta send them back.
It's nothing more American than not fucking with Black people.
But
there's a point.
Trump would be like, "What he said?"
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
As a Black American,
you see them just flip it on and say, "All right, they Black."
Yeah,
right. As a Black American, if you don't want to deport people who don't rock with us as the foreigners, you are a traitor, bro. If you want to straight up, if you want to advocate for people that do not care about us and mean us harm and don't rock with us at all, you want to advocate for them to get your tax dollars? Like, you are treasonous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight up, bro.
I also imagine, I don't think that there's anybody on this panel that probably would like advocate for that thing. So as we start to move on, I think economy was another big thing when it came down to the fall of Rome, the fall of a lot of these great empires, where like they had inflation issues, they had wealth inequality issues, they had a underclass that were dependent upon the quote unquote handouts of oil, bread, wine from the ruling class to, you know what I mean, kind of supplement their happiness. So saying all that to say, love to toss into the conversation. If America could fall, could America fall? Will America fall? The economy could be a basis of it. So I guess there's a couple of different points that we can attack it at. There's BRICS. There is inflation and taxes. There is America's inability to exploit, or like if America stopped having the ability to exploit foreign labor. And of course, there is, shout out to Elon Musk, automation and AI, if we go into like even more futuristic terms. But I guess I'll ask the question, could the economy lead to the fall of America? Are there things that are red flags within our economy right now that we should be worried about when it comes down to quote unquote the fall of America? Thoughts?
I mean, niggas can't grow food, so the only thing that could become a real issue if it gets out of the price range for the normal consumer, how people going to eat. I mean, anything else, people go survive, but I mean, the main thing is always food, having access to it, access to clean water. If you lose that, lose the ability to get food or make food, you know, that can fuck the economy up. But anything else, I just see like inflation, you know, things is getting too high, $10 a gallon gas, you know. That's all I can see, but I don't see it happening. I think, like I say, I think the capitalists at the top, they greedy, whatever, but they want to keep things running so they can keep their status quo. So they're gonna keep things somewhat in your range to survive, but not to like really thrive, I think.
You muted, G.
I think too, America is a consumer-based economy. So when you look at that as the foundation of the economy is consumer spending, you got to make sure that consumers are in position to spend. Like, it's just the bottom line. That's what we've been built off of. So, yeah, like kind of like what Abe like was saying, they're gonna make things affordable, and the crazy thing about what we do is when things seemingly slow up, we'll just print money out of thin air and give it to people and stimulate the economy and then drive up inflation again. So it's like it's just kind of what we've always done. But America being a consumer economy is going to continue to be a consumer economy, and that's partly why we got the largest GDP per capita. It's because of our ability to spend that bread.
Man, I do wonder, like, during the Great Depression that black people weren't really impacted as bad because black people were already poor. So if the nation takes a hit economically, being as though black people are already at the bottom economically, I think that's not really going to be as much of a us problem as it is a problem for people who are accustomed to luxuries. That's why you see even the slight change that we've had now. Look at how these people are spazzing out, popping off in all the schools and everything just because they're losing a little bit of their power. Imagine if we hit the fan, those people are going to go absolutely nuts.
So you saying if it crash, it basically bring us closer to the top.
Basically. Or the middle, because the top will go up.
It's like we are. If that shit crash, that means we on the rise. Like,
hey, don't forget, there's a lot of po white trash out here that's been at the bottom for a long time too. They still know how to navigate because they've been poor a while.
They'll be fine too, but disproportionately,
the majority of the country is poor for real.
Yeah,
not poor like us.
It's only 24,000 millionaires in the whole country.
Bro, the average household income, I forgot some places, bro. It's like in the hundreds of thousands for the white folks, and then the black people is like
30K,
30 probably.
Yeah.
No, it was less than that. It was 5 digits.
I said 30K, nigga.
Talking about places like West Virginia.
Oh, my bad. I'm talking about I meant 4 digits. Yeah,
nigga. No way. No. Yo, you lying, bro. Unless you talking about income and wealth is different because they will say like the wealth is might be even negative in black households.
Right, that's what I'm talking
but
about.
Not income. Not
income. Just straight up wealth. If you compare the average wealth for the black person to the average wealth for a white person, man, there's commas and zeros in between.
Yeah,
or maybe 1 comma. I'm not gonna exaggerate. But, you know. So you
muted, Q.
Johnny, talk to us.
What's the question?
Economy. Again, I can run down a bunch of different versions of it. But could the economy be an issue? Whether it's inflation, high taxes, BRICS, income inequality, leading to a revolution, whether like inside like a French Revolution, Marxist kind of way, automation, America's inability to exploit foreign labor and or resources. Could these be things that could lead to the fall of America?
Possibly. I think the fall of the
and are we in danger of that currently?
I think the fall of the dollar is something. I don't know how close we are, but it's people and countries out there working to undermine our dollar, and I think that's something we do have to be mindful of, because if hyperinflation or crazy inflation happens in this country, it's something that I don't think any of us are prepared for, and I think that is going to cause. You're going to see riots. You're going to see people protesting, looting, the kind of destruction of the fabric of what we know as this country. If we can't afford to buy bread and put food on the plate, that's when you see a lot of the desperate, and a lot of people do things they wouldn't normally do. So I definitely think, if the economy gets bad enough, it could affect us. It could light the spark that ends up burning the country down.
Gotcha. It looked like A Black is taking a break at the moment. I was gonna throw to him, but oh, you still there? All right, talk to us, A Black.
So I thought I had already answered, but
oh, you did. My bad. This was about the economy.
Yeah, I answered that. I can.
Okay.
The next question.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so yeah. Now it sounds like maybe there is some thought of possibly like the inflation or high taxes, maybe BRICS and the value of the dollar dropping, kind of giving some lay of worry. Yeah, again, I do think that, if I'm speaking personally, that there is a space where, depending on how the economy reacts to tariffs, that could be interesting when it comes down to the inflation rate. How, if Trump is able to successfully bring back manufacturing in America, how that could impact the inflation rate. And yeah, to me, I just think that those are like two interesting variables that sounds like it can be really, really beneficial. But the more I've just sat and listened to like economists break things down and speak about whether it's like just generally how tariffs is meant to work theoretically, or how having a minimum wage on tariffs, and or if we do actually deport out the level of immigrants that we want to, and having people like real Americans fill those jobs at a minimal income of a minimum wage, how that would impact the dollar and inflation. I think it's a little interesting, but I would move on to the next space, where some people say that we are. I don't know if any of y'all have seen the movie Idiocracy,
Oh
but
yeah, it's a good movie.
yeah, some people say that we're living in the time of Idiocracy. This leads me to moral decay. There is, again, in this past election, especially if we go to progressive left, there's been an emphasis on identity in the sense of LGBTQ rights. There's been, whether we say like the push of third wave, second wave feminism, there has been a hyper focus on, like, let's say just pleasure seeking behaviors, entertainment, sports. Again, in Rome, you had the Colosseums, the stadiums, uh, even down to like our TikToks, where in China they outlaw, or they push for like more STEM, and compared to us is algorithmically ignorant. Um, how do y'all think that, or do you think that the moral decay could lead to us in America being knocked off of our space in like our level of dominance inside upcoming years? Do you think that that could be an issue or not?
It was till last week, just not. I think we moved in the right direction now. I think if Kamala would have been elected, bro, it would have been so much twerking at the White House during the inauguration, man. So I think the way that it was like a repudiation of the Democrat policies that you would associate with moral decay. I think the United States, like, pretty much unanimously rejected that. So I think that's a good sign that just because, the Democrats were in power during that time and they were pushing a certain ideology, apparently they didn't really have the takers that they thought they did. So I think that's a good sign that we may be, just because she was pushing it doesn't mean that there's a fair representation of where America's heart is. Like, we're not all big abortion fans. We don't all think that we should be pushing all this stuff on kids. We don't think we should have like the Proud Family with characters of alternative lifestyles and stuff like that on Disney. Like, this was a rejection of that. So that's a good sign.
I think moral decay is subjective. I mean, I think there's societies out there that are doing well that have a different moral, compass than us.
And I guess, like, to frame it better for you, Johnny, I would say that a critique of, again, if we're like staying with this comparison of Rome, there was critique that the moral decay of Roman, of especially the Roman elites, led to the downfall of them, whether it was, quote unquote, homosexuality, it was like pleasure seeking and individualistic behaviors. But there's theories that say that is a piece that led to, or a big piece that led to, the fall of Rome. And if we could fall victim to that same thing.
I mean, in America, though, we talking moral decay. I think the elites, as fucked up as it sounds, I think their moral compass has gotten better. They used to let black people be slaves. They at least give it freedom. So, like, when you compare moral decay, like, I think for the elites, like, they've always been fucked up and had bad morals. So I don't think their morals have any effect on the average everyday person, because I think the elites have always had bad morals.
True. I guess the only pushback that I would say is that, like, the Roman Empire also was like they had their fleet of slaves as well. I don't think that moral decay is being used inside like specifically that lineage, as much as like the pleasure seeking, individualistic, like sexuality, XYZ based.
On that scale of morality,
They say that led to it because less of them were they were less likely to like allegiance themselves, whether it was to like the army or to all these other things, because of their ideology of like being more quote unquote selfish.
I'll say this. I think, like, I mean, if you're gonna keep it on that scale of morality, I think an overly sexualized population is not gonna be a militarily, driven population. So I think, yes, I mean, if you don't have the checks and balances in order and you let sexuality drive your society, that moral decay can lead to a vulnerability, because when you're in that pleasure, what you call it, the pleasure principle, you're not worried about self-defense. You ain't worried about protecting nothing. You ain't worried about war. You ain't worried about trying to advance. You worried about getting them rocks off. You worried about that pleasure principle. So, like, if you're gonna keep it just in that frame, an overly sexualized society is a weaker society because you're not ready for war.
Right. What are you defending? Like, if you take away the moral, like you take away the moral level of the women, then the men we don't really have too much to fight for. We're trying to fight for a bunch of thoughts.
Can you be moral and conquer? I mean, I feel like you gotta somewhat be immoral to be a conqueror of any sort, like, or any empire, conquering empire that ruled. They did it through some type of immorality, whether it's ethnic cleansing, whether it's subjugation, whether it's whatever justification they use, might be religion, but nobody in power gets it by being moral and upright. Like,
what about the Moors?
Church, the Moors had campaigns. They transition people. It's when you write the history, you can write yourself as much more gentler. But all of them did the same thing.
Say that about the Romans for sure. Yeah.
They all did the same thing in different ways. Some were more cruel than others, for sure, but everybody used war. And then it's like, fair, man. And some didn't have to use it as much because some people just bent the knee too. They pulled up. They wanted to learn. They wanted to accept the culture. Like, boom. And some we had to force it on you. We go get down and lay there. Some people are like, well, yeah, we good. We don't want to fight. What you got? What you trading? You got the cloth. You got the religion. We'll take all of that. Boom. We'll keep going on down the road. Who next?
Got it. G, have you went?
No, but I don't think I need to. I think I kind of agree. It's like, I do agree that like America's always been immoral, just on the basis of since it's been founded. Like there was nothing moral going on here as it relates to people that look like us. And then when you look at their foreign policy over time and the colonial background, imperial background, very hypocritical to say the least, just as an entity America is when it comes to pointing fingers on right, wrong, human rights, all this kind of rhetoric, shit like that. And they try to, as a country, we try to stay on like a moral high ground because we're not China, but it's like, that's not saying much, unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? So I do think we as a country, America itself as an entity has always been immoral. And therefore it's, it's kind of just a fabric of what, I don't want to say what makes America America, but this is where Trump became president. You know what I'm saying? Where else can this really happen like this?
Gotcha. All right. So as
what maps mean?
Don't look it up. Don't nobody look that up. I don't know what it means, but it sounds like some shit you don't want to type in, bro.
I don't know. Yeah, I personally don't know. I can't advocate to or not to do it. According to FBA's findings, he said do not put that into your search engine, maybe because it could mean moral decay, probably.
Shit! I got it.
But
shit.
again, I'm only guessing. Don't take anything that I'm saying because I have no idea. But what I will say is,
shouldn't have asked that
one. Another one that drained Rome was again, it stretched itself thin. It started losing even to quote unquote what some might deem as barbarians. It lost wars. There was a time where they say Rome is burning, in which I'll toss the idea out here. Is there a space where soon, maybe in the future, again, we have seen whether the proxy wars that we engage in, we have seen like just different threats, whether we go into like North Korea, XYZ. Do we think that America could lose on the big stage? What do y'all think?
We've already lost on the big stage. I mean,
which
Vietnam and Afghanistan were strategic failures. Like, I mean, we had our tail tucked. That's why a lot of them.
You would say that Afghanistan, like we were defeated by a military,
why were people so mad at the way we left, and the only
because it was just sloppy as shit.
The Taliban took over where we was at. It was American military in that country, and the Taliban took it over. That's a military failure. If
but would you say that like outside of like strategic loss, I don't think that anybody would say that the Taliban was like whooping our ass or anything like that. Like they didn't strong arm us. They didn't beat us in the war. We just wasn't able to like give stability to like that space that we were trying to exploit.
But if we don't win,
but there was a war in America.
Okay.
It was the Afghan war. That was an official U.S. war that we didn't.
If we don't win the war, then what's the result?
Establish a base, like I was talking about earlier. They couldn't get a base established out there.
It's like I didn't get beat up. It was a tie. That's what we sound like.
Okay, all right. So, y'all in general do feel that America has lost on the big stage militarily.
Yeah, but to be fair, they also beat Russia and they also beat another country too. Like that is very hard to conquer that region.
And we didn't put our full military might towards Afghanistan either.
But maybe I should reframe the question. But I get like to me, I'm speaking not necessarily like a military endeavor that we're going out to. I imagine everybody in here believes that Middle East was meant for exploitation more than anything. That's why we went over there, correct or not?
Almost definitely.
We've been over there since the 50s.
Huh?
We've been over there since the 50s. And
are you saying yes or no? I don't know what you think.
We've been exploiting that area for years.
Right. Where like the idea was exploitation, not necessarily like it was an actual war for the reasons in which world wars have been fought specifically. Like, we ain't got to go down like all the different versions.
What's the reason? I thought the reason was to get rid of the Taliban.
Control the oil.
I always knew it to be like
Afghanistan, not Saudi Arabia, or because Afghanistan's like it's not necessarily in that Middle East. It's higher up. It's by like.
So you believe that we were going for altruistic reasons, just to like give democracy and
stability? Mass destruction there wasn't that?
That was Iraq. Afghanistan.
Iraq. Okay, Iraq. So it was Osama. Osama was there.
That was part of it.
That's why we went there because Osama.
Okay, so then we are also as a panel believing that 9/11 was done by Osama.
I ain't say
hell no.
So what are we saying right now? Then?
I mean, you can't.
All I'm trying to find is like the through line of which we agree, so then we can go with a narrative.
Theories in here,
no, I didn't. I'm just trying to make sure you have a consistent theory. That's all I'm saying. You can't say they was getting Osama, but then say that Osama didn't really do it, and then it was like a reason for it, and then negate that. Like
he was the scapegoat. Like he was the
scapegoat for why though? Is what
so they could not be on the hook for it.
But why did they do that and put him as a scapegoat for it?
What do you mean? Why? What else are they gonna do?
It looked like an easy.
So they was just doing it just to do it.
They need a bad guy of why they are in somebody else's land. You know.
No, right. But maybe, like, I imagine you believe that they was over there for like a resource or something, right?
Yeah,
I thought they were there against
Right.
terrorism.
That's what I'm saying. So,
I
but I think that they're saying that they
400.
believe it. They was just there for like altruistic reasons for like terrorism and
no,
like to get Obama or something like that.
no,
I mean, Osama.
we are the terrorists.
Well, even if they were there for malintent reasons, they still lost. They still got their ass kicked though.
Well, I guess that's more so what I'm saying. So y'all believe that America got their ass kicked in over there, or it just didn't make sense money wise.
And Hart wasn't it.
We got our ass kicked now. We
Well,
kicked
maybe
some
not
ass
our
too.
ass kicked, but like we left with our tail tucked. The way people were leaving and stuff, it made Biden look weak as shit. Like honestly, the way that exit went out.
But was it just the fact that it wasn't a structure left for them to go? It wasn't like America had to leave because they were encroaching on us.
The Taliban did take over Afghanistan. That's one thing we didn't want. And
oh no, you're talking about after. Are you talking about like after Americans?
No, while Americans were there, the Taliban took over the country.
Okay, and so Americans left. So Americans left because of the Taliban took over the country.
Yeah, because the Taliban tried to kill George Bush's daddy. Remember?
Basically, yeah.
It's like they tried to kill my daddy.
Those are. All right.
I don't know about what Trey just said.
Yeah, but I said the timeline don't even like line up with what y'all saying.
What Trey just said.
You're talking about like 2022 leaving, and he's talking about like 19.
Yeah.
But that's the confusion though, because people talk about that all the time. Because we attacked them because of what happened in 9/11. Even though Osama bin Laden wasn't in Iraq, he was someplace else. And they also have weapons of mass destruction, which they didn't have anyway. So I don't know why we went
That's
to
Iraq, not Afghanistan. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Right. So we started in Iraq, and then we ended up going to Afghanistan for some other reason. I think because they were harboring. It was basically terrorism was the whole reason.
That's where Bin Laden was. That's where Bin Laden was.
So because they were harboring terrorists, he went there to defeat the terrorists, who ended up taking power again after we left. So what was the
okay? So again, like your idea is that in general we went over there for terrorism, altruistic reasons to save
to restore democracy or whatever, or operation. What's it called?
Okay, but that's what you believe fundamentally. That I guess that's what they said. It was like operation. I understand democracy. what they said, but okay, all right. Nonetheless, but saying all that to say that y'all believe that America has faced an actual military defeat when it comes down to like actual war. To me, I'm just throwing this out there in the sense of actually losing a war.
It wasn't a war. It was a military defeat. It wasn't.
Do you know how many years we were in Afghanistan, bro? Like, do you know how many? Like, that was like damn near 20 years.
Damn.
Right. No, I agree with that. I'm just speaking about actually losing in a sense of like I said on the world stage, if we go World War III,
Japan
like 9/11 like it's a military loss. 9/11.
Okay. And so with that sounds as though the panel is saying that America could lose on the world stage and could lose itself
not
as
not with everything on the line. We lost a war that we was fighting.
That's the only question I was like asking.
Q, I think we could lose if NATO turns on us. Like if we quit supporting them, and then they're like, why are y'all dragging us in all these wars? Like, why are y'all? You know what I mean? Because it seems like there's a little bit of this contention there, and then without NATO, if they, that's actually.
So you believe that America could lose a war that matters?
If NATO turns on us, then yeah.
We could lose if for somehow Russia, China, and all of Africa and every other country in South America come together to say, hey, let's go after America. It would take the continent of South America, the continent of Africa, Russia, China, all of that together, and I still don't even really know if that would be enough to like give them like a clear-cut victory. Like I think
okay, so in essence, we were just having that last conversation for no reason. So it sounds like all of y'all believe that America, if given, like let's say if they went head up with Russia or went
If,
head
it,
up
if
with
it's head
China
up, if it's head up
or
with
head up with
anybody, nobody want this smoke. Nobody wants head up
honestly, but
smoke.
if it's head up with Russia or China, the world over because they gonna send the nukes. We gonna send the nukes. It's called mutually assured destruction. We gonna be up out of here. Like if nukes start flying.
But here's the
It's
difference.
a wrap.
Here's the difference.
That's fair.
We're a
It's a
lot
wrap.
closer to their places of power than they are to ours.
But once they in the air, they in the air.
But you can shoot them down. They got to cross oceans. They got like
Russia gotta go over Alaska.
Wait,
but
got,
they can take Alaska.
wait, they don't have bases in
you
Cuba
can
no
take
more.
that shit. Take that shit. Like you can have Alaska, my nigga. Like to take that. Like that's icing on the cake. Like Alaska, Hawaii. Like we really don't care about that shit.
They don't have
Canada
bases in
going
Cuba no more.
No, we
I
smoke.
could be.
We do. We got bases in Cuba.
No,
We
Russia.
have bases in Cuba.
Okay,
Is my
I
Russia.
thought
point.
that wasn't it somebody else that had bases in. Okay.
That
We
was
got
the Cuban
Guantanamo
Missile
Bay,
Crisis.
nigga.
They took care of that back in the 60s.
Oh, they did. My bad.
Yeah, they took care of that.
I was doing like research for some other shit, and I remember hearing the fact that. But okay,
Cuban Missile
all right.
Crisis.
That's old news.
Oh, it's open. Oh, my bad. My bad.
We can hit
I'm
them
ignorant.
from so many different places. Like we got bases in China. We
And
got bases.
submarines.
We in Russia. Like I don't know if we got bases in Russia, but we right there along like all of Europe. Like we got bases everywhere, so we could get to them, and for them to get to us, you either gotta get over Canada, you gotta get over Mexico, or you gotta come from an ocean. Like that's one of the strategic advantages of continental United States. Like it's really two big ass oceans and two big ass countries that you got to get through before you come to us.
Yeah,
All right.
they go attack with one of their countries before you come here. They spread out everywhere. So,
And our intel find out first, probably, because we got our CIA goes crazy.
Hey, there's a lot of countries that got better that honestly got better intel than us. China and Russia been on our ass for years.
Man, then why
and everything?
Then why are we leading in innovation and technology? Then if they
because of money,
they steal our stuff,
put more resources towards it. But they
can steal our shit if they know if they're so intelligent. They could just.
Are we still leading in innovation and technology?
They have stolen our shit.
We are the world leaders in AI and technology for sure.
The hypersonic missile, they've stolen
American
everything.
companies. They're American companies.
They've stolen everything.
I'm gonna have to re-look that up.
Like the leaders in AI are all American companies. Google, Microsoft, like these are what we would classify as American companies. They're global companies, but they're.
I get what you're saying. I guess I wonder how much of this is just like just I guess me speaking subjectively now. I wonder how much of that is just our bias of what we get and what we consume and what they tell us. But I also know for a fact there are way, in my opinion, I believe that there's way better programmers inside in China.
Then why did they come here to study?
Because
go
wages.
To China to go study wages.
Again,
so why don't they study there and then come here and then get paid? Or why don't we go study there and come here?
And then again, I think that there's the beauty of sending your best to go learn over there. In which again, I still don't even necessarily believe that. But
why don't we study over there? If they're so smart.
So what I'm speaking about is like if there was to be an information war or a AI war or a technological war, I don't think that on its face we have quote unquote all the intel and information about what they have. But then even if you go to like their cars, if you go to their phones, if you go like there's I forget what the name of the phone that they have. There's a couple brands of phones that they don't allow here in America, but in general, like their technology, if you just go to any like one-to-one reviews online, man, I can't think of the name of it, but like their technology with their phones specifically is way better than ours. It's not even like a fair comparison, whether it goes down to like just the interface, the iOS to the cameras is better. If we talk about like if we're talking about a country that has already ingrained in their society the automation of like facial recognition, tracking, and all of these different things that we're hoping don't happen in America eventually, or you know what I mean, America has to hide. they're innovating publicly these specific technologies. Yes, G.
I agree, but that's the difference. It's like China is a military state, so that
but that's why we don't know exactly what they have under their hand.
So what I'm saying is, imagine what our military technology really hitting on, because the shit that we get as consumers is old in the military complex, like internet, communications, like all that stuff. The military had that functionality well before it came to us as consumers. So imagine if China's doing all that scanning and publicly, I can only imagine the type of technological advances that our military people have that other people in the world don't have.
Again, I hope, and that's what I'm banking on. But I would also say, imagine the coding sweatshops that they could have.
But AI, like that's the thing. Like at this point, coding is not even no disrespect to the coders, but like that's not a
no. But still, you do have to have a coder. Like the algorithm has to come from somewhere, and like the innovation of that still comes from the coders, and that in itself ends up still being something that I can see them with the idea of forced labor, cheap labor, and it being a military state, having a little bit more leverage. But again, like I am an American, so I hope that that's not true. But nonetheless, it sounds like in general, we all are in consensus that war, America probably is okay inside that sense. Look like we got a couple in the back end. I know that I'll hit this last one and then I'll start bringing up religion. Religion inside of Rome ended up being a thing that a lot of people said led to the fall of Rome, where I guess initially Rome wasn't specifically a religious space. I think that they truthfully like looked at the planets and the stars almost as like its own like different religious deities. And then its introduction led to a lot of issues and rebellion against Roman culture. This question can be taken either way, where could religion be a spark for like the divide in America, or there has been like a influx of non-religious demographic in America that has been rising, and could like this be something that could lead to a fall of America? Thoughts? Nobody?
Say religion. I don't really see religion holding as much sway as it may have at a point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least not traditional religion. I mean, I guess religion is just a lot of people believing in something. So maybe social media can be a religion, or money, or whatever. But I think traditional religion and the church and things like that in America, at least, don't have that much sway, because I think a lot of people have become disillusioned with religion in general. So yeah. I don't think it convicts people as strongly as it has. You know, you can't really galvanize.
Do you think that America losing its religion could lead to this decline?
I think just not having any type of spiritual grounding, for sure. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it should be open to all religions, but I think it definitely should be a spiritual grounding and awakening. But you have to be open. You can't be like, this is a Christian country. I think you should just be like, it's a spiritual place and be open to all religions and whatnot. But I don't know. I don't see it having a lot of sway like it used to.
Yeah, straight up, the opposite is true, because, man, religion has been the cause of way more issues than anything. They use it to justify the slave trade, colonization,
crusade,
and
jihad.
Right. And then if we get back to the fundamentals of religion, like the like what the Hebrews taught, which was about justice and and righteousness and things like that. The uncorrupted. We're not talking about the stuff with like the Catholicism and everything like that. If we get back to the core, I think that'll be good for society. But right now, what we have now where it's based on like the plantation Bible, like kind of obey your master, it's kind of got its roots in the plantation system and taking Jesus Yahweh Shai and then making him into Caesar Borgia and then like a Roman person for exploitation. The quicker we get rid of that, the more empowered we'll be, because the Democrats' main base in the black community right now is the white Jesus worshipers. So us moving away from that is definitely going in the right direction. Like, because every white Jesus worshiper in the black community voted for Kamala Harris. I promise you that.
Even the ones that's against abortion.
Not the white. I don't know white Jesus worshipers. That's
white Jesus.
Yeah, they still got like a white Jesus in their church and their congregation. Something like that.
Oh, you talking about people of different ethnic groups that have a white Jesus that they worship?
No, I'm talking about black people. If you're a black person, you still got that plantation version of Christianity. There's no way that you be evolved beyond vote blue, no matter who. Like those two things, like are like one and the same.
Johnny,
I think. I think there was a point where religion was a huge moving factor for the average person in this country. I think the internet has replaced religion. I think the internet has given people what they need and what they want better than religion ever has. And I think it don't really matter what happens with religion at this point, because the internet is here. And I think that's the thing that is going to drive the downfall of America more than anything. We can't control these internet bubbles, these vacuum conversations, and it just becomes everything you do in this vacuum is right and anything out of it's wrong. That's the type of religion, and that's the type of, and that's the thing people have faith to, that's going to end up ruining the country more than anything. The internet.
Gotcha. The downfall of America could be the internet. All right, so again, we have our first call in. Calling in obviously is the favorite. Shout out to the headphones
across the pond.
Across the pond.
Is that right?
South Africa's own. We're not going to indulge in what Trey said.
Stop.
But nonetheless, Camu, I imagine you have a perspective on this. Give you 2 minutes, and you kind of know the process of it. Take you back and bring you back up. But Camu, talk to us. America, could it actually fall? Thoughts?
Yeah, how's it going, gents? I mean, man, let's be honest. America is on a downward trajectory. You look at the moves they've been making lately. The legitimacy of America has been questioned more and more. When they sanctioned Russia, I don't quite remember the actual year, but I think it was 2022 or something. They sanctioned Russia, and nothing happened with Russia, bro. Like, Russia literally converted American companies into state-owned Russian companies, and the economy of Russia has been doing well. It's like has been doing even better without American companies. Also in Iran, it's the same thing. Venezuela had a little bit of challenges here and there, but they're picking up now. So the world is aligning to more of a multipolar system. I mean, with the rise of BRICS, most nations want to align with BRICS and stuff like that. Also, someone spoke about NATO. America has issues with fellow NATO nations. Donald Trump has been talking about NATO nations having to pay America money. If they don't pay, he's not going to give them weapons and stuff like that. So, like, America, bro, like is going choops. It's going down, man. I don't think it's gonna ever get to the actual war, like World War III, where nuclear weapons have to be used and stuff like that. But
20 seconds.
Will it ever fall to South Africa level?
Yeah.
well, we're not down, bro. We
That's
never
what we were
have
all
been.
wondering.
Hey, tell them y'all G20, baby. Tell them
Hey.
G20.
Bro,
Not G7,
Yo.
G8, but
G20. Come
Oh,
on,
are they
man.
bro,
G20?
we hosting.
Yeah, they G20.
Yeah, we
G100.
They're part of BRICS.
bro.
Yeah, they're part of
Not
BRICS.
they all
G8.
part of BRICS. He
I
might not
mean-
even need to be on this call if he a part of BRICS.
Yeah. He can't. He like J-Day. He be like, man, I hope he don't hit it. That's what he over there thinking.
Right,
He like, man, I hope he don't hit it. That's what he over there thinking, boy.
All right, come on. I'm gonna take you off and bring you back on, brother. All right, another favorite to the pod. Kofi, talk to us, brother. What is your thoughts? Could America actually fall? Thoughts?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Peace out everybody on the panel. Basically I have a different take on what you guys have. I mean, I'm gonna be a little bit doom and gloom only because I'm looking at how the stage is pretty much set. I think G mentioned pretty much as far as like foreign policy is what is pretty much gonna be our like I'm not saying it will be like total like real fall like Rome, but it really doesn't look good. So we have Donald Trump saying that he's gonna pull out of NATO. We have that. The world doesn't respect him. Vladimir Putin don't respect him. Because he said he'll settle the whole war in one day, saying that he spoke to Putin about that. Putin said, nah, that never happened. Put news of his wife up there, and he's still invading Ukraine, right? So that's happening. So, again, we're pretty much another 4 years of being the world's bitch, right? Already Putin and North Korea, they collaborate. So we have North Korea, we have Putin to deal with. Then on top of that, right, the right likes to lie and say they don't care about wars, but at the same time, Donald Trump said, nah, just decimate, the West Bank. That's fine. So I don't think the Arab nations are going to be too happy about that. So that's going to happen. So right now, Donald Trump is pretty much throwing oil drums of gasoline on a fire where it's just going to go insane. So are we going to get to the point of where we fall like Rome? I don't know, but it will be pretty close. I don't know what other scenario you would have to put that something like that won't happen like horrifically as far as like what we're going on with war. And that's just international. Domestically, forget about it. But I'll just keep it with international. Internationally, it's not. We're going up against nuclear world powers here. So I don't know. This is something that I always knew that was going to happen. And if Donald Trump, he already appointed these people in these cabinets, and he has warmongers in these cabinets, but it's different now. It's not like your John Bolton's where, yeah, I'm a warmonger, but I'm an American first, and I'm gonna make sure that America's good. Nah, he has a bunch of yes men. And like Don Jr. says, hey, look, I want to make sure that people are put in my cabinet that won't question my father. That's what Don Jr. said. And so, yeah.
What's your point, bro? I don't know. What does that mean? I'm sorry. I just got lost. My bad, bro. I don't mean to be rude. My fault.
Well, nah, you just have to pretty much just align yourself with what's going on currently, because
you gotta make that shit simple.
Maybe you don't. Maybe I made it simple.
Well, I think like if I was to speak quickly to what he was saying, and generally speaking, he's saying that he does believe that the scene is set for the fall of America, and Trump's policies and kind of his ideology and the people that follow him could be press. What is it?
They could be the catalyst to what's going to
There
happen.
we go. The catalyst. That's a word. A catalyst for that thing to actually happen.
Okay. I feel you.
Yeah. All right. So, fellas, again, until we start adding a couple more. Shout out Fat Boy. You said you calling in. I see you in the chat. Don't run from it. But nonetheless, love to have an open conversation. Again, I only lead it at again, no ad hominems. But nonetheless, I'll toss it into the air. Y'all heard Kofi, y'all heard Kamu. Does anybody have any specific disagreements with their ideology? Is that a no?
The ideology of.
Oh no! Well, I was asking the panel if anybody disagreed or agreed with the common commentaries that was given.
Yeah, I do, man. Because when they was talking or when folks was talking, I was just looking up the amount of military bases that the U.S. has in all the different countries.
Okay,
and it is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. From Africa to Europe to Asia, South America to Caribbean, like we got bases everywhere. So I just feel like, from a military standpoint, nobody really wants smoke. Nobody really wants smoke like that, and brute force will be used.
I was trying to figure out that about an Afghan and never mind.
You have a false sense of security. You have a false sense of security.
Do you understand that?
There's a reason why we don't attack Cuba. There's a reason why we don't attack
I
Cuba.
think both of y'all are talking at the same time. We'll go Kofi and Kamu.
Yeah, I think you do have a lot of bases, but I think you have a false sense of security right now
false.
We're not. Yeah, because we do have a lot of military bases, but having a bunch of military bases really don't mean shit if we're talking about nuclear powers. We're not talking about someone who just got a couple of jets, ships and stuff. Yes, but we're also against people who have nuclear capability.
Yeah, but the nukes gotta get from A to B. Is my point. We got the infrastructure in place to get it in your front yard, however you want it, wherever you want it, before you get to ours.
Yes, but not true, not necessarily. I mean, you have Russia, right? You have North Korea, right? And then on top of that, we got a base in South Korea. We got a base in Germany. We on both sides of Russia. We on both sides of Russia.
So nukes on that base?
Okay, we right there. No, we got bases in Japan. Like we got bases everywhere.
So basically, we're gonna blow up.
We got
so basically
David Walker. Really quick, what was your question, David?
We have bases there, but do we have nukes on those bases though?
Exactly.
Nobody knows where all the nukes are.
The nukes are on the carriers.
Do you have sufficient enough weapons?
In the side.
Yeah. Do you have sufficient enough weapons to carry you throughout the war? You don't. It's just minimal, bro.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
Hey, but stay to the point, fellas. Let's.
No, America does have sufficient enough ammunition and weapons. That we got that. Like we got the weapons. That's one thing we do have. And we got the drones, baby.
And to give my boy Kamu a little bail, they attached the bricks. He said he's attached to niggas that have the. That's all I'm saying.
Man, we get on the joystick and knock niggas out.
Them nukes, Russia got dust on them.
Wait. So basically, you're saying. So basically, saying they don't have. So basically, say we don't have. So we have more nukes when you put the Saudis together, China, or the Saudis together, China together, Russia together, and along with Putin. We're fucking up the whole world.
Bricks.
You go to the level of nukes. The reality is that all these quote unquote powers that be for as greedy and as like what they want out of the world, they're not like America's too valuable to all these countries you just mentioned. They're not going to nuke it down. Like that's just the reality. A lot of
wait,
Putin's wealth
What's
and Russia's
valuable?
wealth is built here in America too.
Wait. Who's valuable to America? Why would China have value in America? Why would the
nigga, China? Where do China send all their goods?
Yeah, bro. They bring it to Africa.
But at the same time, we're talking about
who sends all their what companies send their people out there to employ them for cheap labor? That's our companies doing that.
So like we're paying interest on that debt too all the time.
Okay, if I give you that, can that be the same said for Russia? Can that be the same said for the Saudis? They don't give a fuck about America.
No, Saudis got it. They love America.
China, I named a plethora of different people. You just said, well, China dependent. Okay, let's take China out the equation.
Russia depend on us too.
How so?
No.
How so? What are you talking about? They're against NATO.
Money, capitalism. That's like y'all not understanding. Y'all not understanding. Ain't nobody making no real
American
money in
companies
Russia.
are going to Russia, bro. There's no American companies in Russia.
I'm not saying that there is, Camu. I'm not arguing that there is.
Right,
you are
so
correct.
They don't care about America.
No, but they make their money in America, nigga. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Like just because the wealthy people in Russia don't spend their time there. Let's be clear. All right, like they have things they own in nice places, like America, like the UAE.
Those
yes,
things
they do.
No,
here we go.
Those things were confiscated. Those things were confiscated when America sanctioned. Even in the UK, bro, they took everything that Russian oligarchs owned. They were confiscated, bro. All of them. The yachts and everything, the apartments.
The Brooklyn Nets got a whole Russian owner. They ain't confiscated nothing over here. Like the whole Brooklyn Nets owner was Russian. Like,
this is why America's gonna fall like Rome, because Rome feels that they were untouchable, and then they implode under their own weight because they just felt they were untouchable.
Yo, Kofi, is this anti-American attitude common within the immigrant community? Because we were talking about something like that earlier.
No, I'll answer this. I'll answer this question.
That's a fair question, right?
Is it common in your community to be a part of MAGA that's mostly MAGA, but then y'all hide behind reparations?
All right, to answer your question, no, but you didn't answer mine. So within the immigrant
community, that very pervasive among FBA, which is very low educated people. They usually cling to white men and white supremacist ideologies so they can position themselves.
So you're not going to answer my question.
I'm finding that to be very true. So
okay, is the immigrant community, is this anti-American attitude? Do y'all like talk about how America's going to fall together when Americans aren't around?
What type of? I don't understand. I'm not the representative of.
I'm talking about in your peer group, within like your peers, immigrant peers. Do y'all talk about how America's going to fall and how we're not powerful and all the things you're saying now? Is that like the sentiment? Well, I'm just asking because I'm not a part of that community, bro. You trolling me now. I'm just honestly curious.
Unfortunately, you're a part of my peers, and do you feel like that one?
Well, I'm not an immigrant.
Right. So hold on, I'm answering your question. Right. So unfortunately, you're part of my peers, so you can answer your question when it comes to that. My other peers that
I can't tell you about immigrants. I'm not an immigrant.
I'm trying to answer your question. In its totality. As far as my peers are concerned, I have different types of peers, different types of people, right? That are Americans peers, that are. Oh my God, man. Let me know when
bro, I want to know, what do your immigrant peers think about America? And you talking about, I got lots of friends. What do Black Americans think? And you're gonna give me like a 10-minute answer. Just tell me what the immigrants say about us when we're not around, bro. That's what I'm getting.
Yo, Trey, are you loyal to America, bro? Hey, are you loyal to America?
He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to.
Hold on. Hey, really quickly. So. I'm interested in hearing the answer. Kofi, go ahead. We'll give you like 2 minutes uninterrupted to answer the totality.
It's a yes or no.
But that sounds good. Well, you ask him like actually like how they feel, so that's not even like a yes or no question. But I would at least Trey. So Trey, if you're asking the question in good faith, just allow the answer to happen. I just want to hear the answer then. Whether we agree, disagree, I at least want to hear the answer so we can go further in the conversation. Kofi.
Well, I'm glad he took himself away. He has no discipline. But Like,
Let's stay
so
focused.
that
Come on,
question,
fellas.
no, I'm stating what the obvious is. I'm trying to answer. He keeps cutting me off because he doesn't like the answer or how I'm presenting the answer. So when he says in my peers and the immigrant community or whatever, right? So when it comes, number one, I stated that I am not the representative of all immigrants. I'm not an ambassador or anything like that. So that question is kind of fucking retarded. So as far as my peers go, I know a lot of other people, right? As far as Americans and people that are not Americans, people that are first generation, second generation, or whatever. So people that he would consider first generation or second generation that I know of, I know most of them are American citizens. They pretty much, you will just have to ask them, okay, how do they can't have an anti-American sentiment, just like how you can't say, well, you know, the Black Panthers have an anti-American sentiment because they are citizens. So if being critical of your own country and U.S. government that you're a citizen of is being anti-American, then the Black Panthers would also be anti-American because they'll be anti-American in that way.
Hold on, Trey. Hold on. So I think he's asking more so, is there a common sentiment amongst the immigrant community of America possibly falling soon, whether that's within the next 5 to 10 years, or America in a decline in general?
Thank you, Q.
I'm not MI6. Like, are you? I'm not a part of a terrorist cell. What that makes no fucking sense.
Okay.
Why would I know there's a conspiracy of someone colluding that's a quote unquote immigrant by a very low uneducated definition of what that is, that they want America to fall? That's why I precipice my answer is that alone makes no sense, because it already has a lot of ignorance within the question. Right, because you're making assumptions about who I'm around or who that I know. So that's what makes the question alone asinine. So
I got you. All right, so
I continue to answer the question as far as like people that I know personally, right, that has interest in this country, right, are American citizens. So them wanting it to fall with them being anti-American as them being citizens. No different than the Black Panther Party. So I get the people in the Black Panther Party is anti-American. People like Shirley Chisholm, the woman from my country that ran, first Black woman that ran for president, that means she's anti-American. And I can keep going on.
But I think that changes the question and moves it a little bit. I think it like just staying to the concept is asking more so about it falling. And I mean, it also seems as though like your answer is probably the fact that like you have a diverse group in which there's no like singular thought amongst your group, and that being like Americans, FBAs, immigrants, people of all different nationalities. And the fact that it sounds like you're also saying that you don't have a specific siloed group in which you have like innate meetings, XYZ. But that is also different than being like Black Panther XYZ, where I think that they was pushing for more reform of America in comparison to like predicting the fall of it, in which I imagine that's what Trey's question was. Was there like specifically a sentiment amongst like any people that you know that was like thinking towards the fall of America? But and it sounds like you said that the answer.
Thank you.
It sounds like you're saying no.
It sounds like a white supremacist, like from the FBI questioning Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. You just assume that this person has ill intentions just because of their position. You just assume. You don't know. You're just probing.
Hey, fat boy, pull back up. I seen you back there. But go ahead.
Yeah, you're just assuming. So it's pretty much again based.
No, I think that this right now right now we're pulling hairs only because of the assumption on both ends is as bad faith as possible. And so like we're not even like able to bridge a gap of a conversation because of both people are like both of y'all are taking each other as bad faith as possible. I'm gonna bring in another guest. We got two of them in the back end. Again, he's told us he's gonna call in for the past 2 weeks. I see him back there. Fat boy Fly, talk to us. We've seen you in the chat. We've seen you, commenting, giving us your thoughts.
What up?
My brother, what's going on?
What's good? What's good?
What's up, man? I'm from Memphis, man. Hey, I got a question, bro.
Hey, my bad. Hey, Fat Boy, before you get to it,
music.
I'm gonna go ahead and say music. But before then, right now we're gonna try and stay non-ad hominem. We're gonna stay to the point of it. My brother, talk to us.
Okay, we know where Camel from. Where Coffee from, bro?
Again, let's stay focused. I love to
Oh
hear
yeah,
you
that's
ask.
it's not a fair question
America,
to ask a person where they're from.
Can America
No.
actually
We're not supposed to ask that question.
No.
That's
It's
intellectually
okay
lazy to ask a black person where they're from.
We know
this.
Where is
No, there's nothing wrong with
from?
that, but we know the script of where this goes because it's very, very, you see it coming. So but we'll see how this all plays out.
I'm just asking, where is
from, Cub?
Where is
Because
Folgers from, man?
Where is what?
Folgers.
Folgers?
Coffee.
Talk about coffee?
Yeah, coffee. Ain't that your name, Coffee? God damn it.
Folgers Crystal?
Ain't that your name, Coffee, man? Where you from, bro?
No. See, no, it's not that. It's Kofi, not coffee.
Bro, you like Kamala
See,
Harris?
There's a difference. like
where are you from?
Can you see my screen? Can you read? Are you able to read? Can you see the screen? Are you able to use the StreamYard?
Where you from?
Can you please?
All right, so all right, so I'm gonna be honest, like that's super uninteresting to me, just the way the conversation is unfolding right now. So I would no, like we're not having any productivity, and it sounds good for like quote unquote the moment, but yeah, there's no productivity happening. Fat, well, we can't hear you. Just give me a second. I'm gonna bring Unc up, and then I'm gonna bring Fat Boy back up. But again,
that's crazy.
I want to have some version of a conversation and not just an after show thing. I see that
can we see if Fat Boy was gonna say something without hearing where Kofi from? I just wanted like, was he gonna say anything else outside of where Kofi from, or did he have any other point?
I'm gonna pull it up, but again, if we can't get to like a space where we can like have a conversation, to me this becomes pointless,
bro. It's
and that's not specifically what the show is. So I want to make sure that we start getting back to like the idea of like actually having a conversation.
It's on them.
So Fat Boy, I'm gonna throw you up, and then we do have one more inside the back end. But Fat Boy, talk to us, brother.
Yep. We're not allowed to ask people where they're from.
I just feel like, it's not productive, you know what I'm saying? Constantly having tethers up here, talking down to us, saying what the fuck they want to say, all that bullshit. Listen, I love y'all show. I'm all the way from Memphis, and I watch that shit here, and I love this shit. But the point, the tether babbling, and then it be the tough shit for me. He be doing all that talking, then you see him, he get on. So I'm just a bitch ass nigga shit in person. I promise. That all the tough shit, I can't. It's like y'all can't find nobody else to talk, bro.
So you're gonna keep letting this country bunking idiot keep talking?
Hey, chill out.
Because he didn't say anything. He said the typical shit.
Kofi, you talking to a bunch of niggas from the South, so you gotta watch how you choose your slurs. You gotta watch how you choose your slurs.
No.
Listen.
G, you always do that bullshit. You always do.
They don't respect us, bro.
I'm just
when I
saying.
say something, you get in your feelings.
Hey, y'all, cool out.
Kofi, you're in your feelings. You're in your feelings.
I sat here.
I'm good.
Hey, y'all, let that boy
G,
finish up.
I agree with you.
All right, cool. All right, so we did the thing that y'all wanted to do. Now I'm gonna bring up Unc, and we'll see what Unc kind of has to say. Unc, talk to us.
Yo, what's going on, nephews? Look here, everybody talking like America going downfall and all this stuff. People got to understand, America is a lot more powerful than what people give them. You know what I'm saying? Look at it, like they saying. Look at all the bases we have everywhere. And then you got to look at it also. People in America might not love us, but we love where we at. And American citizens will fight because they love the country, not because of like majority of these places, they have to be soldiers. They have to be this and that or whatever. We love where we at. We made this country, especially us black people. We made this country. So why would anybody beat us? Nobody can beat us. because all the technology and everything comes from us. Whatever they have, they stole from us, and they're using our stuff. So how can you beat the person that you're stealing everything from? When you stole this, we already invented something better than that. You better believe if they know about it, we already have something that's going to be anti to that. So we're not going to fall, and we're not like we in some shithole or something like this. We're not from a shithole country. We
talk your shit,
Hey, or shithole island. Or shithole island.
Nigga, you can't even speak.
Keep going.
You can't speak
no,
English.
And bottom line on it all is that I don't believe that Kofi is like saying that America, but I understand where he's coming from a little bit. But the thing is that what you got to understand is that America is a gritty, grimy, dirty ass country. We will fuck you up.
Understand
we will fuck you up in places.
Homeland before he.
Nah, I got you.
Go fish.
Don't you talking truth?
You understand.
All right, so listen. This is probably around the time where we're gonna end the actual episode. This has been great. Everything else that's happening here is after hour activity. You got to pay for. This is what we call pay-per-view. Panel, stick around. All y'all grievances that you would love. Again, we gonna put this behind a paywall. Fat Boy, don't leave us. Kofi, don't leave us. Don't leave us. We'll be here. But again, for the internet, for what will be appropriate for YouTube, where we are going to keep a certain level of decorum and conversation. So, with that said, this has been Unpacked. This is G-ish Podcast at the top. We got David Walker, we have Johnny, we have Kofi, Kamu, Fat Boy Fly, straight from Memphis. We didn't get to hear him say music, but I think it sounded like Merzik. We got Unk down there. Ses Majid. Nonetheless, this has been a great episode. Peace out to the chat. Check y'all next Wednesday, 9:30. Peace.